You damn right. Hope you're having a good Monday. But unfortunately, for Texas Longhorn fans, it's going to be one of those Mondays. It's going to be a leather couch kind of Monday. We're going to be your therapy today. And the therapy will also be helping one of us today. It's Chad and Zay on a Monday. I'm Chad Hastings. I've already gone through my tournament pain, and it was further back down the line. I'm joined, as always, by Isaiah Collier, who will be processing what happened yesterday throughout the show today. What's up, Zay?
What up, Chad? A wise man once said, today is a good day to be alive.
You're going with the basics, huh?
Yep.
You're breathing, you woke up.
Yeah.
It's the good basic stuff.
Yeah. And, the head coach of the Texas men's basketball team also says that to his players each and every day.
That's true. That is
true. And in
true.
moments like this, he's absolutely right.
Yeah. That may be the good news we need to start with today.
I'm trying to stay positive.
It's a good thing. Trying to stay positive today might be a good thing. Maybe on the Specs text line today, we will encourage that positivity, 337-3776. But also, if you're a Longhorn fan, we will help you, again, try to process everything that happened yesterday. If you have thoughts, questions, comments, don't worry. We'll hit a lot of it. And remember, not only is Isaiah Collier a big-time basketball fan, Zay is the self-proclaimed greatest referee in the history of Central Texas high school basketball, which means Zay watches basketball games a little bit more detailed than the rest of us do. So we'll get Zay's thoughts on foul calls in the Texas game, that other foul call everybody's talking about in another one of the regional championship games. We'll get to all of that. But let's start with some positivity. If you are in that bandwagon and on that team that wants Rodney Terry to be the head basketball coach at Texas, apparently, Zay, it is headed that way. There were reports over the weekend. I saw it and retweeted it earlier from the good folks Jeff Howe and the crew over at horns247.com that Texas is going to offer him the job. And it just needs to become official, and we'll see if there'll be a press conference and all that. But reports are that they will be offering him the gig.
Yeah, and well-deserved. What he's done this season from when Chris Beard was let go due to his own problems and Coach Terry took over, everybody thought, oh, it's a wrap. You might as well wrap this season up. They're going to maybe even if they make the tournament, we didn't know what was going to happen entering the Big 12 and going 22-8 like he did, having the team back him like they did. I mean, you saw him last night in the pressers and, in the locker room. He loves those guys and they love him. When you hear Sir'Jabari Rice talk about, he's a mirror of me, like that just gives you chills. And I mean, when you have to have a lot of luck to win national championships, and you have to have talent. Everybody thinks it's just the X's and O's when they see guys like John Wooden and they see guys like Mike Krzyzewski. John Wooden had Bill Walton. John Wooden had Lou Alcindor. And John Wooden was spinning a little coin in a time where you weren't allowed to. But, hey, Miami, they probably pay more than anybody left in the Final Four. Nigel Pack getting $200,000 a year. Isaiah Wong, $100,000 a year. So this is the new age that we're in college basketball. And back to having the Jimmies and the Joes, all those 5 championships that Mike Krzyzewski has, name one team that won it that doesn't have McDonald's All-Americans on it. Like, those guys, they were stacked. Yes, those guys are good coaches. I know everybody wants to look at the Fresno State record and the UTEP record. Okay, it's hard to win at mid-majors. And you see why guys have moments in the tournament and then they jump ship. Ask old boy from FDU how quick it was to go to Iona. He knows you can't stick around that. You got to go while the iron's hot. And again, you just have to have dudes like my man from St. Peter's last year. Right, they had a great season. Where he at now? Seton Hall, back at his alma mater, getting an opportunity. So Coach Terry, I think he earned that opportunity with what he did this year. And back to having a little luck to win national championships, Chad, when Dylan DeSue went out, I was like, here it goes. You can't have things like that happen. Look at all the teams that dealt with injuries in the tournament that had so many expectations. You couldn't tell me Jamal Shead and Marcus Sasser were 100% trying to chase that Miami team around in the Sweet 16. You look at Bill Self and the situation that he had with Kansas, him being on the sideline. You think that would have made a difference going against Eric Musselman and that really talented Arkansas group? Hell yeah, it would have. UCLA, they were controlling that whole game against Gonzaga. Then they couldn't get a stop. You think that if they would have had their Pac-12 player or defensive player of the year in Clark, that would have helped them? So all the teams that you see in the Final Four now, from FAU, San Diego State, Miami, and, all UConn, all those teams are healthy. Mm-hmm. And when you lost Dylan Disu, that was such a big blow because it took a team that was so versatile and so complete back to a limited team, to a team that we didn't know at the beginning of the year. We saw how good Tyrese Hunter was playing and Serge Rice and the guards, but Dylan Disu, he only averaged around 6 points for most of the season until after that Baylor game. And then after that Baylor game, the light just turned on. The flip just switched. And he started balling. And this team took off. And going into Xavier to do what they did, that was an amazing performance. That was a masterclass on both sides, offensively and defensively. Like, they had Adam Kunkel in shambles with his dirty self. Mm-hmm. That was a dirty-ass play on Serge Rice, dog. When he was crying, I was like, oh, boo-hoo, get him a freaking tissue. He deserved all those tears, how dirty he was. Don't be mad. Don't be mad that you got beat. Don't be mad. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a masterclass that they put on offensively, the high ball screen and pick and roll, and it was good for one game. But when you play against Miami, you got to give Jim Larrañaga credit. What he did, what he realized in that last 10 minutes of the game yesterday, he realized, you know what? If they're going to play this tight, full court, let's just play nothing but guards. One of the worst things that could have happened last night, Chad, or yesterday during the game, was Omier getting in foul trouble because they go from 4 guards and a big to just straight up 5 guards, 5 out, spread them out. We're not shooting threes because they're taking away our 3. I get it. We saw what Nigel Pack did against U of A, 7 threes, bam, 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 bam. All just dominating those boys. That terrified the coaching staff, obviously, when they're like, we can't let this happen. We can't let this happen. And Miami, they were good. They said, all right, if they're going to take our 3 away, we're just going to attack them and make the refs change the game. And I get why Longhorn fans are upset because yesterday, what we saw with the officiating wasn't consistent with how the games have been officiated throughout the whole tournament. It just wasn't. Did Texas foul on some of those plays in the second half? Yeah, they did. Did Texas make some really stupid plays in that second half that helped that 10-minute 33-14 run that Miami went on? Yeah, absolutely. But those calls that you saw in the second half of that game, they weren't consistent to the first half, and they weren't consistent to what we've seen throughout the tournament. They've been letting them play. And there are a few calls in that second half. For example, Dylan Mitchell's block on Isaiah Wong, that's clean. Just because guys hit the floor don't mean it's a foul. Guys are so athletic, the momentum's going to take up. Dylan Mitchell went and got that.
Yeah, that was an incredibly freakish play.
That's incredible.
By the way, did you notice with how high he jumped? He hit that ball with the bottom of his hand.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't even a full extended block.
And I feel bad for Dylan Mitchell because he had some really great plays and he had some really bad ones. He had some really great plays where we were like, that's that 5-star, right, supposedly lottery pick that was coming into the 40 acres before the season. That's it. Yeah. That's it. When he went and got that block where it was over the square on the rim.
It was crazy.
And he got it with the left hand. And everybody was like, is that goaltend? Then they showed it and I was like, oh, that thing was still going up.
Yep.
it was still going up, and that brother went and got it.
That was a great
That's
play.
insane athletic. That's what the NBA scouts said. Okay, that's why
Right.
we weren't dumb. We weren't tripping. All the NBA scouts are looking at each other like, we weren't tripping. We weren't when we saw all year long with Dylan Mitchell, which he had a tough season. He had a real tough season.
Right.
And we saw flashes last night, like on out of bounds plays. You can't have a guy you're standing right there. You're guarding a guy straight up. And Jordan Miller just kind of gave him a fake to the left, lob, dunk on the out of bounds play. That can't happen. In an Elite Eight, that can't happen. Ever. Fast forward, Chad, because now, after that happened, Timmy Allen's mindset is, okay, I have to help. So I have to help Dylan or whoever was in the game at that time, and I'm just going to not see man and ball. You got to see man and ball, even on out-of-bounds plays. It drives me insane when guys just completely turn their back on the guy throwing it from out of bounds. Poplar, throw it off the ass, dunk.
That's a rough one.
Oh, Coach Terry threw something. They showed Coach Terry after. He was like, damn it. I was like, here it goes.
And it's 13 at that point.
Yeah, I'm like, here it goes. That's stupid stuff. That's dumb. Both of those plays are dumb. Now, one led to another. Like the fact that Jordan Miller got that dunk was the reason why Timmy Allen was just looking at the play going on because he wanted to help to make sure it didn't happen again.
Yep.
But you got to see man and ball Timmy Allen. Timmy Allen had a rough, as good as he was throughout the game, he had a rough last 10 minutes, just fouling. Like, you got to understand, when they're calling it tight, you can't go for those charges like you were before. And Jordan Miller, 13 for 13 from the free throw line, like, bruh, grown-ass man stuff, 23 years old. Like, nothing phases him.
Yeah, he went 13 for 13 from the line, 7 for 7 from the field. Since 1960, there's only one other guy that's been 20 for 20 combined in a tournament game, and it's Leitner against Kentucky.
Wow.
Like, that's the guy. I'm pretty sure it's the Kentucky game. It's some Leitner game, but I'm pretty sure it was Kentucky. He was that perfect. So when he went to hit that famous shot, that kept him perfect.
Yeah. And just... there was a play where he went up for a jump hook and Timmy Allen's bumping him and stuff. Like, you don't need to do that. But again, Jim Larrañaga, he understood that, you know what? If they're going to play, if Tyrese Hunter's going to be all over Nigel Pack because they're so afraid of the three, Tyrese Hunter, he's the only one that's good enough to be full court, zigzag on ball defense. Everybody else, not so much. Mm-hmm. And they were just getting the ball off of missed free throws and rebounds and just pushing it. Whoever got it, which they're 5 guards, so they all can push it. Joseph, Poplar, get it off the board, pushing the rock. Pack made some crazy finishes. Isaiah Wong had some nasty fadeaway jumpers, pull-up jumpers at the end of the game.
Those are huge shots, man.
Going to the Brock Cunningham box out, because I know we want to get to that.
I was going to say, let's get to 2 calls here because people are wanting you to put on the ref shirt and break it down. Let's start with the one that's ultimately called a foul on Brock Cunningham. Walk us through that. How did you see that play?
Okay, so you have your lead official on the baseline. You have a center official on the opposite sideline. He's by himself, basically, because there's 2 officials on the same side. So the lead official is on the baseline, center official on the other side. She should be around. He's out of bounds, obviously, but he should be around the free throw line looking at what's going on there. Toward the middle of the court free throw line. Mm-hmm. The lane, yes, and then you have your trailing official at the top, which is on the same side as the lead official on the baseline. Okay. He's the one that's looking at the ball handling, make sure there's no backcourt violations. That's where he's at. So Nigel Pack has the ball on the wing. The shot goes up. The trail official on the baseline, that's his responsibility to watch what's going on.
The rebounding calls.
Calls.
Okay.
That's all you're looking at. You're not looking at the ball in the air. You can't. Because what if Omier or Brock Cunningham throws an elbow and you're looking at the ball, you miss it.
Yeah.
So you're just looking what's going on at the guys in the paint or in that area. That's yours. On that other side, the center, you can look. You can look what's going on. You kind of got to do both. The good ones can do both. You look what's going on in the middle, but you know that's his responsibility. So you could look up at the ball to see if it goes over the rim or hits the shot clock and comes back down and bounces in. because that's out of bounds. So you're looking for all that stuff. And that's what he did. He looked up. He's watching that. Omier and Brock, Brock's already boxing them out. That's the thing. This is what people don't understand. He's already boxing them out. The ball's in the air. The ball hits the rim. Then it flies in the air. Now my man's like looking at the ball. The center official's looking at the ball / like watching Omier and Brock. He did not see Brock and Omier boxing out when the ball was in the air. He saw it once it hit the rim. The baseline trail official, he's looking at the whole thing the whole time.
So he knew when Omier left his feet and all that.
Yes, he knew. He knew.
And that's the one that initially called it.
Yes.
He called over the back.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the one.
And then they come together. Did they come together and you don't look at a video of that,
no,
right? They
just
had to come
came
together and talk.
And the center official, which I don't know if it can't be the trail official. He can't be involved in this. He has too much going on. He shouldn't want to be involved.
Right.
If the center official on that other side, well, again, he looked up. When Nigel Pack shot the ball, he looked up. He should have manned up and said, you know what? I didn't see what was going on before. Was there anything going on? Because you could easily say Brock, when the ball went in the air and Omier jumped in the air, Brock then connected. That's when stuff started happening. You could say that, but that's not what happened. I watched this plenty of times.
Sure.
Plenty of times. Trust me, I wasn't going to come in here and give y'all fake game. The baseline lead official has to say, yo, I was watching it the whole entire time. Cunningham was pushing him out. And look, this is just science. When you have a big person like Omier and you're trying to box him out and he's trying to get positioned himself, there's a lot of force there. You're using a lot of mass to go back. So once he jumps, your natural reaction is it's like pulling a chair. You're going to kind of fly back. And
there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
Right.
So it's going to look bad. And I get it. You want to protect the guy, but you got to see what happens beforehand. And the fact that they had the audacity to change it is so Bush League. It's so Bush League. I know everybody, people who aren't long-term fans, oh, it's so Homer. No, I've reffed the game. I've played the game. I've coached the game. That's a Bush League call. And again, that center ref, he might just have more pull. He might be the main ref. There's always a main ref out of the three. There's a main ref that talks to the coaches and makes the call, just like there's a white hat in football.
Right.
It's the same thing. So it seemed like he just overruled them there, but he was in the wrong. You gotta trust that lead official who's on the baseline. That's his call because he's watching it the whole time, and he did a great job. He didn't look up or nothing because your natural reaction is to look up at the ball. But as a ref, you can't do that because there's so much happening around the paint. Guys throwing elbows, guys could do all types of stuff.
So for the record, you think the guy that made the call saw everything he needed to see and then got overruled by someone that didn't?
Yep.
Okay.
Because he made it. He was pointing the other way. Everybody was like, yep, Texas ball. We're going the other way.
And by the way, the other, to me, an indicator on that play, one of the people that thought Omier was getting called for a foul was Omier.
Yeah.
He laid on the floor, and he knew it because that was going to be his fifth. It was going to foul him out. Tie ball game, and he would have been fouled out. His human nature told him, I just committed the foul, and they got me.
And it's like, okay, so now are we being strategic with it? Do we know that it's his fourth? Do we want him to stay in the game? Like, because that's foul too.
Yeah, you can't do that.
He messed up.
Right.
This ain't that. This ain't the league. This ain't the league, and this ain't Jordan. This ain't Bron. This is just, you can't do that. And then it goes to Brock Cunningham, reputation. If this was anybody else, I don't think that call's made. But it's Brock Cunningham, and he gets called for one of those a game, which he does it at the wrong time.
Some you call it a foul.
Some will call it a foul, and then some I think it's reputation. It's tough. Brock's in a bad situation. That's what happens when you're in college basketball for 8 years.
I kept watching that thing over and over again, and I kept asking myself the same question. What is Brock Cunningham supposed to do?
What is he supposed to do?
What is he supposed to do? How is he supposed to account for whether or not the guy is on his feet or not? I thought he had good position. I'm glad you confirmed that. I'm not a basketball official, but I thought he had good position. I thought he was blocking him out. Once the guy leaves his feet, then, like you said, Brock Cunningham's going to kind of end up underneath him, but that's not on Brock.
The the refs shouldn't count in their head the block out when the ball hits the rim. the blockout should start when the shot's in the air.
Yeah.
Because it could go anywhere. It just depends on the bounce.
Right.
And the bounce, it went high, and of course it goes straight to Amir. The basketball gods, they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way, of course. It could go anywhere on the court, Chad. The ball could bounce out of bounds. It could go anywhere, and it goes
right back.
Right to Amir. It's the person who has the biggest reputation for, air quotes, I guess, being dirty, even though he plays hard glue guy. Brock's done some questionable things throughout his 5 years. I ain't gonna front, even though I'm a Texas fan. Brock's done some questionable things, but he plays hard, he plays with passion, and that's all you could ask for. But that was a bad call, and I wish the baseline ref, I wish he would have had enough cojones to say, I was watching the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, we can't make the call. All you saw was Amir in the air. And if you just look at that, that's what's going around. That's the only clip you see. That's only around social media is Brock and the guy going in the air. Nobody sees, because a lot happens. Shots in the air, it bounces off the rim, it goes up in the air, then the blockout situation happens.
For this listener that's saying, am I the only one who just wanted Brock to jump? It's his rebound, or he's getting fouled from behind. He was in great position. What would you say to that person?
That's not what you're taught to do.
That wants Brock to go get the ball.
That's not. No.
He needs to block out there.
Yeah, he needs to block out.
Yeah.
He's not athletic.
Right.
What do you mean? It's not like
there
he's
are other
Anthony
guys
Davis
that would. Yeah.
They can just go up and jump and get it. He's not that guy.
Yeah. All right, so there's some of Zay's thoughts on that foul call. We'll get to the one at the end of the San Diego State-Creighton game, which I think just got figured out about 12 minutes ago. That one took a while. We'll get to that. Crazy calls around the tournament. Final Four is now set, and obviously, Longhorn fans, we're trying to help you process everything that happened yesterday. We'll continue to talk about Miami over Texas. Up next in the NFL, we've also got to get this massive story out there. Lamar Jackson wants a trade officially. We'll talk about the details coming up on the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk a little Apple leasing. If you need a new car, truck, SUV, this is your place. Obviously, springtime is here now. You might be thinking about, it's vacation time coming up, and do you have that reliable car that can make the trip? Maybe you've got the kids growing up and about to head off to college, and you need a car that way. Apple Leasing is great for all of that. The Easy Lease system, making sure that you're paying for the part of the car that you're using. You can get all your finances lined up the right way and not have to worry about all those crazy costs at the end of a situation. It's the easiest and safest way to get a new car. Call them up, ask all your questions about how the leasing process works. They'll be glad to help you. 346-9977. That's 346-9977. Again, any make, any model, any car, any truck, and they get the same discounts and incentives that the dealers do. So all those rebates that are out there, all that stuff, in terms of who's got good selection, who may not, they get out to all those different spots for you, save you all that legwork, save you all the time. You're signing things electronically instead of all the mounds of paperwork at a dealership. It's just an incredible situation. So all you do is call 346-9977, 346-9977, or get online to appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
All right, getting started on a Monday. Chad and Zay getting through all of the craziness of the tournament. Longhorns out in the round of 8. We will get back to that. Oh, man. This is one of those songs. Is it? It's called Stranger Than Paradise?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I was singing this the other day out of nowhere. My love is stranger than paradise. Who is this? Is it Hurricane?
No.
Damn it. Who is it?
Sleazy Bees.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't coming up with that one. Sleazy Bees. This was one of those. It popped up on probably Hair Nation the other day with my wife. We were driving around, and I was like, why do I know this song? I have no idea. The Sleaze Bees or the Sleaze. Is it Sleazy or just the Sleaze Bees? Sleazy Bees?
Sleazy Bees? That might be it.
Is that what they are? Spell it for me. Is there a Y in there or is it just.
No, it's an E.
Yeah, it's the Sleaze Bees.
Sleaze Bees.
That's what it is. The Sleaze Bees. At least that's what I've always called them. All right, so the Sleaze Bees get us started today. Sounds tougher.
Was this it?
Sounds tougher.
Was this it, though?
For them?
The only hit?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember anything else by the Sleaze Bees.
It's tough.
Pardon me if you're a Sleaze Bees fan and I missed something. A lot of Longhorn fans reacting on the text line today, as you could imagine, 337-3776. This one says if it's not over the back, it should have been a no call play on. There are some people that are saying those griping about that call are not catching some of the other things that happened in the game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't think anybody, again, you blow a 13-point lead in a tournament game. It's not about one call. We totally get that. But it's one of those games that it's kind of hard to discuss the game without at least getting to that call, just like we're going to get to that San Diego State and Creighton thing at the end of that game. It's tough. Zay gave you his thoughts on the call. He thought it should have stayed the way they called it. Again, they called it on the floor, and Zay going back and looking at it, he thinks an official saw everything he needed to see, made the call, and then they completely switch it. So that ends up being pretty tough. If you have thoughts on it, 337-3776. I want to get Zay's thoughts on that Creighton SDSU moment. Real quick, though, let's get this NFL story out there, and we'll start discussing it throughout the show. But Lamar Jackson has now tweeted out that he requested a trade. And Zay, he says he did it all the way back on March 2nd, and that the Ravens, I want to make sure I get his language correct here, that the Ravens, quote, the team has not been interested in meeting my value in contract talks. So, again, he's on the non-exclusive tag. Other teams have had the right to talk to him for all this time. And if he agrees with another team on a deal, the Ravens could match it, or they could just say, nope, that's good, we won't match it, but they will get 2 first-round picks in return. So that's kind of where we are. But this is the first day we've heard that it's official. He has asked them to trade him. So kind of a crossroads here for Lamar Jackson. But that is a big story out there in the NFL. So now I guess the Ravens need to officially figure out, okay, we got to find somebody. We got to find a dance partner here, I guess.
I mean, but who wants that? Like, I love Lamar Jackson and stuff, but who would go after him?
Who's going to give him all the value?
Yeah, who's going to give him all that value that he's asking for? Plus, the Ravens, they expect a lot in return, too, if they're willing to trade him. So I think other teams understand what they're going to have to give up for Lamar Jackson. And again, I love Lamar Jackson. Yes, he's a former MVP. Yes, he deserves a certain amount of money, but let's also be realistic. We got a guy who's now has been injured. A big part of his game is his legs, and he's over 25 now. Yes,
Right.
He has years left, but when you look at quarterback, you look at the next decade. You don't look at the next 4 or 5 years. And the money that Lamar Jackson is asking for, it's like you're paying somebody that you're going to have for the next decade. He's not that type of QB.
Right.
And, I kind of goes back to Cam Newton a little bit. There's a certain delusion that Lamar Jackson has. It just is. Like, you could sit on this MVP stuff, but that was a few years ago. And yes, the Ravens have hosed you over by not getting the weapons around you for your talent. Absolutely right. And he has a right to be disgruntled and angry about that. But him getting hurt this past year doesn't help his case at all. Because I look at Lamar Jackson, and yes, I see that dynamic quarterback that can make things happen, that can take you to the playoffs, which his playoff record ain't the best. And that does go back to the weapons. He'll probably say, okay, look at the weapons. Look at Patrick Mahomes. He has Travis Kelce. Look at all these other guys that have won. Look at Jalen Hurts has A.J. Brown. That changed their whole team with the Eagles. So I get Lamar Jackson's frustration, but his game and the money that he's asking for how long it is, like with the guaranteed money, it doesn't match. It just doesn't. So, and you could go back all the past you want with the Pro Bowls and the MVPs and stuff, but he's a risk. He's a risk. And with the NFL and how guys go down, he's a risk. Every time he runs, I hold my breath.
The way I understand this situation, back to the compensation thing, I think the compensation is already set because they tagged him. The compensation's 2 first-round picks.
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
That's what the Ravens would get back. So I think this is all about if a team comes to a deal with him, they come to an offer sheet, and then the Ravens determine do they want to match it or not. Now they could match it just to be kind of a-holes about it and to press the issue. But if they decide, no, we won't match it, then I think it's just 2 first-round picks, and then they move on. But it's about what is he ultimately asking for. That deal that he said no to in Baltimore supposedly had $133 million guaranteed at signing, $175 guaranteed for injury, and $200 million guaranteed if he was on the roster a certain day in 2026. So if that all played out, he would have gotten $200 guaranteed. Supposedly his people are saying, no, we don't want it all. We don't have to have it all guaranteed. We know that Deshaun Watson was an outlier. Kyler Murray got a little over $100 million guaranteed. Russell Wilson, $124 guaranteed at signing. He's looking for some of that type of serious guaranteed money, and we'll see. He's just got to come to some agreement with a team at this point.
It's going to be tough for Denver to throw a lot of money around to guys to put around Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, because they gave those two a ton of money for the long haul. And somebody on Spec Section was like, Zay, you can say the same thing about Jalen Hurts. You're damn right I can. And I think Jalen Hurts is a little bit more realistic than Lamar Jackson that says, I need guys around me. I'm willing to take less money. I'm willing, I got agents. It's a great women's team that back me up. And I'm willing to say, I know my worth, but I'll take less money for the greater good, a la Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Go get you a baddie supermodel that makes more than you. Tom did it right. This is why he's the GOAT. People, what he did on the field was right. But Shoons, old girl, baby mama, an actress, she got home. Other baby mama, supermodel, one of the greatest of all time. So he took less money with the Patriots. Not everybody thinks like that.
Yeah, and I don't know if this really affects that much of the discussions, because I think everybody knew, I don't know if everybody officially knew that Lamar was, requesting a trade here. You got to wonder, how would this affect other teams? Again, there was no negotiating as far as I can tell. It's not like the deal would change here. So this is just about, does a team want to take that chance on Lamar Jackson? I've heard the Colts get mentioned today. I've heard Washington get mentioned today. Some team that's out there that doesn't quite have the quarterback situation dialed in the way they want to. And the Colts specifically could end up with one of those 4 quarterbacks in the draft, very possibly in the top 10. Do they want to do that? Or do they want to go after Lamar Jackson? The logic might be their head coach, former guy in Philadelphia, who put things together for a Jalen Hurts. Would he want to put things together for a Lamar Jackson? Similar, at least maybe a similar mindset, a quarterback that's got lots of weapons, got lots of tools at his disposal, but you got to be careful how you utilize him and protect him.
That's what I'm saying. Like Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson got way more light in the ass than Jalen Hurts does. I don't think he's bench or squatting those 700 or that. I have way more confidence. And Jalen Hurts got hurt this past year. He still got injured.
Sure.
Playing that style of play. You didn't think that affected them, even though they rolled on through the NFC? Like,
they had that time of the year we talked about them where they were getting banged up.
Yeah.
That middle to late part of the year.
You got an extra game now in the NFL. Like, Lamar, his arm, there's just certain throws he cannot make. You just can't. And you want to put he's like, okay, I need y'all to put all these guys around me, but Lamar, we need money to do that. You're asking for this much. And he's like, yeah. You're like, okay, Lamar, like, but I'm this good. And there's like, well, Lamar, you're good, yes, but you still need help. He's like, well, y'all need to put someone around me. It's like this big circle, Chad. Check the circle, just going back and forth.
Right.
He's like, put people around me. They're like, we need money to put people around you. You're asking for too much. He was like, so? Look what I've done.
Yeah, look what I've done. This is my value.
Look what I've done.
Yeah.
Here I am. That's like, bro, that's past tense.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool and all, but this is what happened with Jerry Jones and Ezekiel Elliott. You can't reward guys just for what they did. You do that a little bit, but you can't completely go overboard because it could mess up your whole team and what you're trying to do and build your roster there.
And I wonder now, does this actually help those other teams? Now is Lamar officially saying, no, I want to be out of here. I don't want to be in Baltimore. Does that give them the power? If I'm the Colts, if I'm the Washington, whoever else is interested, does that ultimately give me the power with Lamar in a little more of a way? Because I know, like, no, man, you've told us you don't want to be in Baltimore.
No, he's so scorned.
So here's what it is. Here's what it is to get you here. So we'll keep an eye on that story. Biggest story in the NFL today, obviously. We're talking plenty of basketball, too. We'll get Zay's thoughts on the end of the San Diego State-Creighton game. Obviously, we're still talking Texas and Miami. Miami gets by the Longhorns 88-81. We'll continue to break that one down, how the Longhorns gave up a 13-point lead, 10-point lead with 10 to go in the game, and they couldn't finish the deal. Coming up at 105, Joe Cook of Inside Texas. We'll get his thoughts on it. The Texas baseball team is on fire right now, winning all 14 in the homestand. Zay was going to be happy with 10-4. That baseball team said, you know what, Zay? Hang on. We got it. 14-0 in the homestand as they're about to head to College Station. We'll get into all of that. Also up next in the crap bag, this weekend I encountered two people that you do not want to be, plus a shout out to an Austin legend coming up on the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy sports. We've been talking a lot of basketball lately with Underdog, but don't forget, opening day for Major League Baseball is Thursday, and you can draft a season-long fantasy baseball team to win $100,000 on Underdog. If you've ever wanted to play a fantasy baseball league with zero in-season management, you can with Underdog Fantasy. In MLB Best Ball, you just join a league with your friends or enter one of their tournaments, draft your team, and that's it. There's no waivers, no trades, no setting your lineup each day of the season. You automatically get the optimal scores from the players you drafted in your starting lineup, then highest scores at the end of the season win cash prizes. It's fantastic. Draft against your friends in a private draft, or maybe you want to join the Dinger to take your shot at $500,000 in total prizes. Signing up is easy. Do it today with the promo code HORN and get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store, and don't forget to register with my promo code HORN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. It's the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Don't forget, opening day is this week. Get in on one of those season-long fantasy baseball drafts with Underdog Fantasy.
Chad and Zay.
All right, getting started on a Monday, rolling through hour number one. Longhorns out of the NCAA tournament. What a weird Final Four we end up with. I think I heard this right for the first time since they went to this seeding format. The first time there's not a 1, 2, or 3 seed among the teams. Or maybe it's 1, 2, 3, or 4. Right? No. 1, 2, or 3 because UConn is a 4. I think that's right. UConn, Miami, San Diego State, FAU. Your Final Four. All right, so we got, I see the cheerleaders dancing now. Tony Basil and Mickey, right?
That's right.
That's an old-ass video here.
Was this it for her?
Pretty much, yeah.
Damn, Tony.
Big one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Tony Basil. This one was huge, though. Tony Basil and Sleaze Bees getting us started today on a Monday. Isaiah, along with all of you other Longhorn fans, trying to process what happened yesterday. Longhorns led it by 13. They ultimately blow the lead. Miami comes back, gets them, takes all kinds of free throws in the game. Zay, you've talked about a game where somebody makes more free throws than you take. 28 of 32 for Miami, only 11 of 15 for the Longhorns.
No chance.
That was tough.
No chance. And you saw that last 10 minutes where you just couldn't find a bucket, how much the Horns were missing Dylan Disu. And his ability to just throw the ball to him with the lack of size that Miami had. I mean, they're bigs, which aren't bigs. Omier, 6'7", Jordan Miller, 6'7". Dylan Disu, he would have had his way with those guys.
Yeah, I kept thinking about who's the guy that could step in for him. Who's the guy that could? You were talking earlier about Mitchell gives you some, but not all the consistency that Disu had been giving you. And
just being a smart player, being a veteran player. It was. I thought Coach Terry, which he was trying to match when Omier and Christian Bishop. When Omier went out, he would rest Christian Bishop because when Omier came back in, then he would put Christian Bishop back in. I didn't like that tactic very much. Love Coach Terry, but it's part of the job. You're going to get the job. I will have to critique you. You might be family. It is what it is. He understands it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that. I thought you should have kept Christian Bishop in the game. And even though Dylan Mitchell was playing well, I think we saw the flashes of Dylan Mitchell, and what we didn't see, like the bad got covered up due to him catching lobs and dunking and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that. We're like, oh, this dude Dylan Mitchell's killing. When on the other end, he gave up that really bad out-of-bounds lob to Jordan Miller. The possession which completely changed the game. They were already on their run, though. It was around 10 minutes to go. Joseph goes to the line. You foul. It was when Joseph makes that crazy spin and just collides with Dylan Mitchell. Really bad foul. He goes to the free throw line, and they miss one of their 4 out of the 32. And they get the offensive rebound. Dylan Mitchell, you're right there. You tip it out.
Mm-hmm.
Vlade Divac style when he tipped it out to Robert Horry. Grab it. Grab the ball. Instead, he tips it out. One of the few misses that Miami has. They get the offensive rebound. Jordan Miller gets fouled, knocks down 2 more free throws. So that's a 3-point swing. It's now 67-58 with 10 minutes to go, and you know what happens in the last 10 minutes. So Dylan Mitchell, I hope he comes back. I pray he comes back. He's not ready for the NBA, and that's fine. It's okay to not be ready for the league. You're not a failure. You're still like another step closer to getting a degree. Yeah. Even though everybody's aspirations is to go to the league, you're not ready yet. And that's okay. Come back another year, get more polished, develop your offensive game, learn more, watch more film, get more mature in that weight room, and come back a better player, and you'll up your stock. They ain't going to forget about you. They're not. You're still young. They're not going to forget about you in the association. Mm-hmm. But these guys, they hear potential. And the NBA, these, agents, they tell them what they want to hear. Like, oh, you could work your way up and get this contract. You could make it in the G League. Don't be no Greg Brown. Don't be no Greg Brown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Good point. Texas fell victim to, unfortunately, what other teams have. We talked about it, the injuries that got a lot of other teams. All that all that momentum coming off the Dessous performance, and then he's unable to go against Xavier. Texas didn't need him there, but they certainly needed something yesterday against Miami. Miami ends up getting the win there. We're talking plenty of basketball today. Give us your thoughts, 337-3776. Let's get you a quick crap bag here. I'll tell you what I saw this weekend.
Chad's crap bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
Brought to you by AV Consultations. Go 255-8678 or go to avconsultations.com. So this weekend, my wife and I took my daughter to see a comedy show. We went over to Bass Concert Hall. Shout out to Bass. I love stuff there. I haven't seen many shows there over the years, but I always enjoy it. We went and saw Taylor Tomlinson at Bass Concert Hall. So I encountered two people. One of them I don't know what to do about. The other one is easy to me is easy to fix. The one I don't know what to do about is an over-laugher at a comedy show. I've taken my kid to see two of them now, and there's an over-laugher behind us twice. Last time it was a female over-laugher. This time it was a male over-laugher. Every single thing that came out of the comedian's mouth, the opener, headliner, just over-laughing every moment. And what am I supposed to do? I can't turn to him and say, sir, please don't laugh. Please try to control your laugh. All I could do is say, have you ever monitored what you sound like when you laugh? And do you know you're out in public? But then again, I thought, Zay, well, maybe somebody would say that about my laugh. Sometimes I whistle at a show. Would that be annoying to someone? So I don't know how to fix that problem. But for some reason, we attract the over-laughers. They are right behind us. Now my kid thinks that's normal. That the person behind you at a comedy show is just going to naturally be to every single thing.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying, but you can't say nothing.
No, you can't say anything.
You can't be that guy.
Now, the other one I think we can fix, but you got to fix this one from within. There's a woman sitting to my right. My girls are on my left. And the comedian is kind of to my left as well. On my right is a woman, and she's there with a guy. At some point, I hear this whispering with my right ear, so I'm trying to lean away from it so I'm not here. But I can tell they're whispering about something loud enough where I can hear it during the pauses. And then I realize they're not reacting to her, the comedian. They're talking about something completely different. And then I'm like, am I going to shush them? How do I deal with this? Then eventually I realized it only lasted about 2 to 3 minutes. But then at the end of it, they were whispering about, should we leave? And I wanted to lean over and say, yes, you should. Go. Please get out of here. So it was like at a movie, comedy show, or whatever. If it's so important that you're whispering loudly to each other, get up and leave. Go have your whisper out there. There's this little section of that comedy routine now that I feel like I didn't get because I couldn't.
But that's a big decision, though.
Because I couldn't stop myself.
That's a big decision because you spent money on the show.
I get it.
And when you hear, should we leave, it could be an actual emergency.
Right, it could.
So you're trying to take everything in like, is it an emergency enough to where we need to leave? Because we paid good money for this. We've been waiting for this. We don't know when we'll see this person.
But now now they're distracted no matter what. But the way they handled it made multiple people distracted. They distracted the people behind them, they distracted the people on the other side, and they distracted me. So instead, wouldn't they just, hey, let's go. We weren't that far from the edge.
But that's the thing. Okay, so they could have gotten up without anyone noticing.
I mean, they weren't right on the aisle, but they were 6-8 seats away. If it's that important that you're whispering. And eventually they did get up and walk out.
And didn't come back.
Nah, didn't come back. So I don't know. You got to be careful when you're that person.
Yeah, because if you say something and Gramps just died or is choking.
Then I'm the bad guy.
You're the Grady Dick.
I am the bad guy at that point. And I understand some people go into those shows and they just silence the phone versus turn the phone off. I turn the phone off if I can. They may have silenced and they were seeing something on a text. I get that. But try not to be that person if you can not be that person.
Or like the kid is vomiting like crazy. We don't know what's going on. We're scared. That's
right.
If Gramps dies, you gotta leave. There's no talking. Yeah. That's instant get up.
And that's tough. And I'm not. Everybody has their situations. It's just like I don't want to be involved in your situation.
You get old, boy.
I am.
You get old.
I am. I'm trying not to hear these things, but I have at least good enough hearing where I was hearing them whispering. My bit of good news, though, is where we ate before the show. We went to an Austin treasure that is still there. Thank God. I don't know how many of the locations are the same now, but we went to the Dan's Hamburgers on Lamar.
Oh, man.
I had not been to Dan's in a while. I talked my wife and kid into it because my kid is into like the basics of plain and dry cheeseburger or chicken tenders.
Oh, come on, monkey.
So she tried the Dan's chicken tenders. She liked them.
Okay.
My wife and I went with the burgers, and man, had I forgotten how good their onion rings are. If you are into burgers, people are different. If you're into burgers and onion rings, go check out Dan's. The curly fries are really good. The fries are good. The onion rings are different. That is a different world. We got each of the three, so I got the taste tests, give you a current taste test. If you love a burger and onion rings, go try Dan's.
Yes.
Shout out to Dan. Still feels nice and lived in. Still feels old in a good way.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel brand new because it shouldn't. It feels like Dan's always felt. So shout out to Dan's. That burger's still really good.
Yeah, the only thing bad about Dan's is that him and Fran couldn't rekindle the beef.
I know.
Like, I mean, for Fran's was popping.
Dude, that was a good battle for a while,
It was
too.
a good battle. Fran was on Congress and
they were out there
East Austin.
Out east on 290 over on Cameron.
Cameron, that's
Was it
right.
Cameron or
that's
Burbank?
right.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Fran.
I've hit that one a few times. It's good stuff.
Squash it. You know why? Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan, we don't need these beefs. We don't need, even though I do enjoy that one. Scotty, Michael, we don't need this.
Created two good burger places, though. They got after it. But
I put Dan and Fran, they're on the same level as Michael and Scotty.
Yes, exactly.
And that's how good it is.
But now there's no more Frans, and I don't know if any of the Dans have gone away, but the one on Lamar is still there. Just to let y'all know.
One on Airport still there. You went to South Lamar or North Lamar?
We went North Lamar.
Lamar. Yeah, that one's still there. South Lamar.
Right up there
they
off of
redid
Caney.
that.
Yeah.
And then that new one in Buda.
Is that
Newish
right?
one. Yeah.
Got a new one down there?
Yeah. It's not that new, but it's newer compared to the three we just named.
There you go. Bravo to Dan's Hamburgers. Good place. All right, so there's your crap bag. We do that every day about 12:45. Up next, back to the Longhorn discussion. Joe Cook of Inside Texas. The good news of the baseball team, the bad news of the men's basketball team. We'll hit both next on the Horn. All right, how about hour number 2 on a Monday? Hope you are doing well. Obviously, if you're a Longhorn sports fan, specifically a men's basketball fan, it's a tough Monday after what happened yesterday, and we are helping you get through it. We are the therapy for you today. A little therapy Monday there. Good Monday if you're talking about baseball, softball. Those two teams are rolling right now. But obviously the men's basketball season coming to an end. The big focus of the day. It's Chad and Zay on this Monday. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. We've also hit the Lamar Jackson story out of the NFL. He is officially requesting a trade. They've got owners' meetings going on right now. So I just saw John Harbaugh getting interviewed by the assembled media about the situation. Lamar says as of March 2nd, he let the Ravens know he wants a trade. So all that is out there on the table today. Let's get right to the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. We'll jump back into this Longhorn discussion with Joe Cook of Inside Texas on3.com. We talk to him this time every Monday. He's at Joseph Cook 89 on Twitter as well. Joe, how are you?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. We'll get to that good news with the baseball team, but let's start with basketball. Obviously, a lot of thoughts on the game and the circumstances around it. What did you make of Miami coming back to beat Texas? As a fan, as somebody that covers it, obviously for a living as well, what did you make of the game and what happened to the Longhorns after that 13-point lead?
Man, it's just one of those things where I think everybody knew that, whether it be Nigel Pack and Isaiah Wong, they knew that would be probably an advantage for Miami going into the game. And credit to Texas, that three-point shooting early was able to help stave off a lot of what Miami was, really successful at. Yeah, they were scoring, but Texas was scoring and just as frequently. Once Sir'Jabari Rice got banged up, once it looked like Marcus Carr got dead leg, it was going to be tough for those guys to be able to handle everything on the offensive and defensive end of the floor. Add in Dylan Disu not being available, and then just became a near, I don't want to say impossible matchup, but a really tough matchup for Texas in crunch time, against a team that, hey, if you make it this far, you're a good team, and you got a good coach. Against a really good team coached by Coach Larrañaga, two good guards, a lot of athleticism, and time just kind of, ran out on a team that had been pretty, I don't want to say they had injury luck, but they had been pretty healthy for most of the year. And that lack of luck toward the end accentuated the mismatches that Miami had in relation to Texas. And overall at the end, it just forced the issue, forced the whistle. Miami hit their opportunities at the line, and Texas just wasn't able to make it back to Houston for what would have been a really exciting Final Four.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Before the season started, when you saw the exhibition game against Arkansas, you knew this team was capable of getting to this point. And I think we were spoiled those 2,000 years under Rick Barnes when TJ Ford was taking teams to the Final Four and DJ Augustine, those guys were going into the Elite Eight. And then you have this 15-year drought, and it's like, man, it's not that easy. But it's a different game now with NIL and the transfer portal and, the COVID year. Like, those some grown-ass men, the four teams left in the Final Four, all these teams have grown-ass men on their teams. And I want to ask you, who could you see coming back next season? Because I see Ron Holland over there in the McDonald's All-American game talking about he can't wait to get on campus and thinks Coach Terry deserves the job. About A.J. Johnson and stuff, but Brock Cunningham's coming back. But who else could you see coming back for another year, hopefully, with Coach Terry on the sideline?
Yeah, I think you got to start with the knowns. At this point, it really seems like once that official announcement comes down from Texas about Rodney Terry, which pretty much everybody expects it to happen at this point, you're probably going to have A.J. Johnson, and you're probably going to have, Ron Holland suiting up in burnt orange next year. Like you mentioned, Zay, you're going to have Brock Cunningham, trying to do his best Perry Ellis impersonation, but he and Armando Bacot over there in Chapel Hill are, they're going to, when you think of seventh-year seniors, you think of guys who may messed around during years 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but that's not Brock. He's making the most of the opportunity, and it's a guy who loves playing for the University of Texas and is going to have two and Tech. He could end up being Dr. Cunningham by the time this is all done. I think in addition, Alex Anamekwe, a guy who saw some minutes off the bench during the season, was a late add in the 2022 class, I believe. I think you know that he's going to be back. That's a lot of what our Jerry Hamilton over at Inside Texas has been talking about. The rest of the guys, aside from the Rices, the Cars, who, are obviously out of eligibility, some of it just remains to be determined with guys with conversations with Rodney Terry. And I'm not saying that to mean that guys are, already leaning on leaving or stuff like that. Even if you're thinking about, just Tyrese Hunter, I would anticipate him being back because what's his option, to go transfer and fight for a waiver? He's already had a good situation. He'll probably be the point guard again next year. I don't know why he would want to leave that in the dust, and I don't anticipate him doing that. But, outside of that, you got Ron Holland, you got A.J. Johnson, you got Anamekwe, you got Brock Cunningham. Dylan Dessou, I know that's the big one. That's kind of a we'll see. That's someone who tested the NBA waters last year. I think everybody is on the same page as knowing I want to see what my game needs, what it needs to add, and then maybe I'll be back next year. He could do that again. I know he went through senior day honors, but that's obviously no final call in respect to coming back. But if you're Texas, you have to consider Dylan Dessou's been a guy who hasn't been 100% a ton over the course of his Texas career. And you want him to be 100%. You want him to work to be 100%. But at the same time, you saw how valuable having a second unit was. So maybe you're looking for a second unit big or someone to help take some pressure. Dylan Mitchell, I think that probably remains to be seen with what he learns from the NBA. That's obviously he was one of the highest profile prospects who made it to campus, but a lot of that had to do with his athletic profile. I think he's got some more skill than what he showed, but in the framework of this team, it wasn't really needed or necessary. I wouldn't be surprised if he does kind of a similar thing to Dessou, tests the waters, learns what he needs to improve on. But maybe he's someone who decides, the G League is my path. The second round is what I want, something like that. So that's kind of a long-winded way of saying that, even with Holland and Johnson seemingly in, as long as Terry gets named permanent head coach, there's a lot of roster building, both through the portal and even the high school ranks, that it's going to need to happen next year, even with some known returners coming back on the roster.
Talking with Joe Cook. Joe, you just referenced the Coach Terry situation there. There are reports out that it's going to happen. It hasn't been official yet. Obviously, this season didn't end like the Longhorns would have wanted to. Some would say you look at that bracket and things had kind of opened up and they were the highest seed left and all that. That didn't end the way they wanted to. But the ultimate victory for this team seems to be that Rodney Terry went and got the job. Watching the way the players react to him reminds me of what I'm seeing around the country. Some of these Final Four teams, the way they react to their coach, the way they talk about their coach. Is it fair to say that that's the ultimate victory for Texas here, that they absolutely found their coach?
I hadn't thought of it that way. I think that is a victory for sure. But the guy, I think you have to consider a little bit the fact that the guys who may have earned that victory, a lot of them aren't going to be here next year. So, and not to say that it's not one, but you just have to, I think that's something you can't ignore when you're thinking about that. But that's, kind of leads into another point. I think we saw over the course of this year that, yes, obviously Rodney Terry had an experienced team, but in the Big 12, he pressed all the right buttons. You don't end up second in the Big 12. You don't end up in the Elite Eight without knowing how to game plan and run things in game. And that's a result of having a 3-decade career that includes 1 decade as a head coach. So I think that that's a win as far as those guys showing that, obviously taking their role and, helping Rodney Terry most likely get to this point. But I think one of the truest senses, and it kind of goes back to the truest sense of how big a victory it is, we may not know until the end of the summer once a lot of these portal decisions and roster building things have been brought up. And I know there's probably a lot of discussion online. It's like, oh, this is Beard's team. He built it. And then you'll see some probably sympathetic people sympathetic to Terry, or maybe even media sympathetic to Terry say, oh, no, Terry brought these guys in. It's like, there are some people who are so disillusioned by Mack Brown that they'll give all the credit of Vince Young ending up at Texas to Tim Brewster, when there's credit all around here. But still, Rodney Terry in this landscape is going to have to show that he can build a roster both from the high school ranks with the select talent, the five-star types, but also that he's going to be able to go into the portal and convince guys that Texas is the place for them. But I think definitely this team this year showed, thanks to a lot of their elder abilities, but also just the fact that they were put in the right spots. And for the Big 12 season and for 3 games in the tournament, they were put in the right spots by Rodney Terry, and I think that he does definitely mean a lot going forward, along with just the love they showed him. That's not fake. Mm-hmm. And I think that also can't be lost too. Like, those guys, even if they aren't coming back next year, like that's you can't fake that. I think we could kind of see, if you ever saw some videos of Tech locker room celebrations from this year, the few that there were, maybe this is some burnt orange tint to viewing those videos, but you could tell like it just seemed like the social media team goes like, hey, go pour some water on Coach Adams, and because we knew how much that team didn't like Mark Adams and the situation there. That it always felt genuine with the Longhorns, and at every situation possible, they offered genuine responses and things like that. So I think that does go a long way and will help Rodney Terry in portal efforts, where he's going to have to prove himself the most, I think, over these next few months.
Joe, going back to the game yesterday, I'm never one to blame the refs for the loss. The Horns did some really dumb things in the second half, but the refs didn't help them out either. And, a lot of people are going to be looking at the officiating when they think of this game from years on out. They're going to think, oh, yeah, the refs, the stripes, they hose the Longhorns, and everybody has their own opinion. What did you think about the officiating yesterday, and what did you think about the Brock over the back or non-over the back call?
Man, that over the back call is tough, because that looks like boxing out. And I think y'all may have seen this. I posted a tweet during the game. There's no place for reputation calls in the NCAA tournament. Part of me feels like if that were Tyrese Hunter boxing that guy out, no call, maybe even an over the back, and where you may be talking about a different result. Brock Cunningham, I felt like, got 2 reputation calls in the course of that game, and that's pretty rough. But something about that game, it kind of reminded me last year about the other game that got eliminated, and that Texas was eliminated in. There was a huge discrepancy last year when Zach Edey and Jaden Ivey were just going to the line, but I felt like that had more to do with just athletic advantage over, referees just having their imprint on the game. And part of that, I think, with the Texas limitations due to injury and just how skilled, you got to give a lot of credit to Nigel Pack and Wong, the best backcourt that money could buy by John Reeves over in Life Wallet. Those guys are skilled. And those guys did a great job of forcing the issue and making Texas have to defend off the dribble. And, Texas defense included some fouling in the eyes of the officials. So either way, they forced that issue. That's a big credit to them. Yes, maybe it was a little bit more often than Texas fans would have liked, but it came mostly it wasn't as a result of anything nefarious in my mind. It was a result of Miami seeing a weakness and forcing that issue some way, and the officials were the way that it became apparent in how they attacked that problem for the Longhorns.
Talking with Joe Cook, Inside Texas on 3.com. Last one from me, Joe. I wanted to get you your thoughts on baseball. You said you were waiting for that Tech series to give you an indicator of what the Longhorns would be taking with them to College Station tomorrow night. So 14-0 overall. but what did you make of the sweep, the 2 walk-off wins? How confident are you that the Longhorns are taking a really good team to College Station tomorrow?
That was a huge, huge series for the Longhorns, not just to take 2 of 3, but to sweep. And I know Texas Tech hadn't really done a whole lot outside of Lubbock this year, but they even, no matter where they had played, and then, like I said, most of them had been in Lubbock, they were mashing the ball. And that even made itself apparent over the course of these last couple games. They came back and scored, I think, at least 5 runs in all 3 games or something like that. So it's still a team that was able to produce on offense. But there was a lot of resiliency. And I think another really great thing was that David Pierce saw from his bullpen, he saw some more guys step up in some pressure situations. Now, there were some guys who didn't have their best showing, but he tried to press as many buttons as possible, gave guys opportunities in high leverage situations, and a lot of those guys carried through. Whether it be starting pitching, relief pitching, Ace Whitehead gets to win. I think it was not Travis Haley, Zane Morehouse comes in and gets 2 wins. One was a back end win, but the other was a result of Friday and going 3 2/3. That's what you want to see. You want to see guys develop over the course of a season, and even over the course of this win streak. Chad, you brought it up. These aren't Manhattan, Campbell, whatever teams they weren't the strongest teams, but that gives you the opportunity to build and learn while winning, and that gives you confidence. And it gave them enough confidence to go out and face a top 20 team like Texas Tech and take all those things that they had learned over the course of that win streak into the game. Plus, you can't discount what Peyton Powell has done at the plate so far. He has earned the hitting so well you can't take him out of the lineup award. He's playing a lot of really good defense at third base, and that was kind of a spot that there was some intrigue as to who would step up and take it, and he's just become a guy that is just a weapon in that lineup. So should be a lot of fun in College Station. I'm going to make it down there, try not to get a speeding ticket. I won't get a speeding ticket because I'm going to be going the speed limit on 21 tomorrow.
Be careful, brother. Be careful.
Hey, I'll Chad, if I hear a train whistle, I may shoot you a text to see how many engines you think will be passing by.
There you go. No, I'll definitely be able to give you a guess. Yes, definitely be aware. That's a good little PSA real quick for all of you that are headed over to Olsen Field tomorrow. Sorry, Bluebell Park.
Yeah, let us know if there's actually ice cream there. If they don't sell ice cream like some Aggie stuff, then that's a huge problem.
I'm assuming they have Bluebell in the ballpark. I would assume you could get it
better.
But, yeah, for those of you headed over there, the speed limit would be a good idea. Just be real careful, and hopefully my people will be nice to you. It's not a big deal to them, is it?
They have if anybody ever tries to use the words meaningless midweek game, and college baseball is probably not their primary focus.
Yeah, that's true.
They all count the same in the record books, and especially when these 2 teams get together, it's always a fun time. Hey, and the Aggies, they probably want to get a little win over UT, considering they went over 3 against the other UT last weekend. So it's a big opportunity for Schloss and that team, as seems like they're stumbling through SEC play to start, and the Longhorns then have to go on the road again to Oklahoma State team that might be the top contender for the Big 12 regular season title.
What did Skip say a few weeks ago about the Aggies? What kind of place is this?
Come on, man. Come on. He won't be saying that tomorrow night. He won't be saying that. Come on. They're not going to give him the murmur against Texas. Hopefully not. That's Joe Cook, Inside Texas on 3.com, at JosephCook89 on Twitter. Joe, safe travels to and from College Station. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Good
Joe.
stuff. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy game tomorrow night. Yeah, that was one of those. That was a big indicator where with A&M going to Knoxville, and even though it's on the road, Texas has a home series. You're interested in how would the 2 teams be coming in? Wow. One comes in after a sweep at home. The other gets swept on the road. Aggies lost 2 out of 3 to LSU. Aggies lost 2 out of 3 to Portland earlier in the season. But Zay, tomorrow night, these midweek games, it has felt like the Aggies have figured these out. As these last few midweeks,
Right.
not to mention the game in the College World Series last year, they've been able to figure them out. Everything will be better in College Station if they get the win tomorrow night.
That's a damn shame.
They'll figure out a way to just forget all of it.
Yeah.
If they beat the team from Austin, that will be different. They beat Texas, very, very different. And for the Longhorns, can they keep it rolling? 14 in a row, and Joe just mentioned it. Headed to the Oklahoma State series. It's going to be so special to see them play. Obviously, in a couple of years, it's going to be full series with these two teams in the SEC. But we'll get to that tomorrow. Thanks to Joe for his time. We're talking Longhorn basketball today. Obviously, the team losing to Miami out of the tournament. We're talking about all of the different ingredients, including that foul call. We've been through that. We'll get to some of the other stuff that's gone on. I still want to hear Zay's thoughts on that San Diego State Creighton foul as well. Plus, up next, we'll get you a little flex segment, including some spring visits, offers, and commitments. It is that time of year. It's the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk sinus and snoring specialists. You've heard me talk about the folks here at the office that have dealt with sinus and snoring specialists. My wife just got on the phone because she needs to get back to sinus and snoring specialists, figure some things that are going on with her. If you've got sleep apnea, think you might have it. I had moderate obstructed sleep apnea, and I was 85% blocked in my nasal passages, and they were able to deal with that. Dr. Slaughter and his crew do some amazing things there. Because he is double board certified in ear, nose, and throat, he has surgical and non-surgical options that others just don't have. So I had the balloon sinuplasty procedure. There were some other things they did. Get rid of my allergies for good and create a special treatment that's designed to help me get rid of those allergies so that I don't have to worry about that. Knock on wood. I don't have to worry about that stuff. Starting in 2017, it used to be at least 2 bouts of the allergies every single year. I don't have to worry about that. You can live in the Austin area without those allergy concerns. Maybe you're having some sinus issues. That's why Zay ended up at Sinus and Snoring Specialist as well. Our man Jeff Howe from Light the Tower, he's been to Sinus and Snoring Specialist. There's so many of you that have gone. We do appreciate that, and we hope certainly that you're having a great experience there and you're sleeping and resting better. It's what it's all about. Call and set up an appointment today if you haven't gotten in there. 512-601-0303 or go to sinussnoringent.com. It's Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, here we go. Way back. Getting started on a Monday, getting going here in the second hour on a Monday, and trying to get Longhorn fans restarted after yesterday and Miami taking out the Longhorns. Stray Cats.
Stray Cats.
There it is. Brian Setzer with that stacked up crazy blonde hair back in the day. Stray Cats, Tony Basil, and Sleazebees have gotten us started today. Remember, Thursday, we'll get the album swap discussion back on. I have finished Iron Man.
All right.
From Ghostface Killah. Have you done any Back in Black yet?
A little bit.
A little bit?
I'll really get into it today and
Okay.
the rest of the week.
Fair enough. Zay's going to give us that review on Thursday, and we will look at that. We're going to see about the end of the week. I got to check with Brandon Lang's folks and see if we get one more Brandon Lang before Final Four.
I'm with it.
If he's ready to go.
Let's get it.
Yeah, so we'll get you that schedule once we have it. Thanks to Joe Cook for his time. We're talking basketball today. Also, Lamar Jackson demanding a trade, and we got to get into LeBron's return. Did you catch that? LeBron came back sooner than a lot of people thought.
Yeah, Chad, Joe didn't mention Arterio Morris. He's a player I'm nervous about. If Dylan Mitchell leaves, I'm not nervous about him leaving to go to another school. I'm nervous about him leaving to go to the G League / the association. Arterio Morris, I don't know. And he was pretty good yesterday.
You're saying he might stay in college and go somewhere.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
hopefully he has a really strong relationship with Rodney Terry. And he's going to have a lot of responsibility if he were to come back.
Yeah.
Hopefully Tyrese Hunter comes back. But those guys as your backcourt, Arterio Morris working on this game, another year of maturity, another year in the weight room, that's not too shabby. Arterio Morris shows flashes of superstardom. Does he do some dumb freshman stuff? Yes. But those 2 threes he hit yesterday, he wasn't phased. Now, he also had to play in the second half where he just drove through the lane and threw some crap up with the left hand that hit no type of rim.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
It hit no type of rim, and it led to a run out for Miami. But sometimes at that age, you got to live with the good and the bad. I would love for Arterio Morris to come back next year. I think he has a lot of potential. Go test the NBA waters, get that good feedback, work out with the pros, play against some good high-level comp. Ain't nothing wrong with that, but he's a college player.
And again, if you missed it and you're just jumping in, there are reports out there from some of the insider sites, shout out to horns247.com where I saw it, that there will be an offer made to Rodney Terry, and maybe that gets done this week. We'll just have to see when it becomes official for Texas basketball. More basketball talk coming, but right now let's get you a quick flex segment. We'll talk about some of these offers and visits and all that kind of stuff.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit BrainVault.com and join the movement.
Remember, we are looking for your videos, your updates, those huddle clips, whatever it is you've got out there. We want to give the athletes their love and tell their stories here in the Flex segment. For instance, Jake Helms, the long snapper from Westlake, went to Vanderbilt this weekend for a little visit. So shout out there.
So he's a smart kid.
He is apparently a good student.
Yeah.
Also from Westlake, one of their talented baseball players, Aiden Bennett, commits to Howard over the weekend.
Wait, what? Wait, hold on, huh? You said Westlake?
I did.
Going to where?
Going to Howard.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Chaparral with that flavor.
How about that?
Going to the HBCU.
Aiden Bennett.
Okay, Aiden, I see you, dog.
There you have it.
That's big time.
Uh-huh. Also, congrats to Stony Point running back Corey Thomas. He's in the class of 23. He is now signed with Mary Hardin Baylor. Our guy Anthony Williams tweeted that out earlier, and Flex retweeted. The Crusaders have had some really good football lately.
One of the greatest D3s college football history.
Man, and Corey is going to join them. So best of luck to him. Also, shout out to Anthony and the FBU camp crew. He wanted to give a little love to a young man named Carson Workman. What a great name for a running back. Running back out of Hendrickson in the 24 class was at their camp in Dallas this weekend. He is listed here on his Twitter. 6'190", a running back. Does a little track and field as well. All-around athlete from Hendrickson. Carson Workman. So we're getting a lot of those names out into the discussion. And real quick on the coaching side, I saw Austin High tweet out they have a new defensive coordinator, Jason Cecil. So congrats to you, Coach, getting the DC gig there at Austin
Congrats,
High.
Coach. Now you got to prepare for Lake Travis, Westlake, Dripping Springs.
Yeah, look out.
Oh, man, but this is what he wanted. This is what he wanted. He
Yeah.
wanted to play on this level. That's what all coaches want. You want to play at the highest level that you can, and
Yeah.
26-6A. Don't get much higher than that when it comes to football in Texas.
Also, Zay, this one just coming down a couple hours ago, but Adrian Wilson, the talented receiver from Weiss that we've been talking about, want to make sure people know that name. He just got the 4-star rating from On3 Sports, and he wanted to thank them for that. So all those guys, we wish them nothing but the best. A lot of cool stories this time of year, the visits, junior days. There was a junior day over at Texas. We'll be hearing about that this week as well. Real quick before the break, Zay, do you have a thought for us on the San Diego State Creighton foul? At the end of that game, a lot of people are saying they should have just let it go to overtime and go 5 more minutes. What did you think of the foul that got San Diego State the free throws?
I'm 50-50 on it. Nemhard's hand was all over him, and I think if Darion Trammell was bigger, it wouldn't have been a call. But the fact that he's like 5'5", you gotta call it.
So
did he freak it? Did he sell it? 100%.
So he's small and he sold it, and that got the call.
Yes,
Okay.
that got the call. And I've made calls during the end of the game. You don't want to, but on the floater like that, and his Nemhard's hand, get your hand off, bro. Get your hand off. Because even the little body, that's tough to call. But the hand there, that's hard to get over.
It's almost like one of those sneaky pass interference moments.
Yeah.
Where if I see the hand on the jersey, I feel like I need to call it. And if you saw the view they showed you from behind that official, I sort of understood it. I wish he hadn't called it, but I got it.
so biased. Like officiating, that's one thing that makes it difficult because it's so biased. LeBron James and Shaquille O'Neal been getting hacked through the course of their career, and I've seen the whistle swallowed. Did I see Kevin Durant or Tim Duncan make the same move as Bron and Shaq
Right.
and get the call? Because those guys just have a different frame.
Yeah.
And it goes to all the way to reputation of Brock Cunningham. Like Joe's absolutely right, and we've said it too. If that's not Brock Cunningham, that call probably doesn't get made. And if that's not Darion Trammell, that call doesn't get made.
The other weird part, the anticlimactic ending to that game. They go back, the long throw, they're going to look at all these different things, and Gene Steratore going over all this, and then they just wave their hands up and say, that's it, we're done.
Yeah.
And I went back and timed that play, and it was 1.2 seconds, and I timed it on a stopwatch at about 1.3 to 1.4. So I thought, well, that must be what they did. They just realized there was too much time had gone by. We're done. We didn't start the clocking. But they never really explained it. I never heard that fully explained.
they were
and
just
we were
like
just done.
Yeah, they were just expecting everybody to know the rules.
Right. There was a lot going on there.
Like, yeah, guys, we just didn't start it on time, and it went over.
I kind of felt bad for San Diego State there because they just all of a sudden there's that moment. But man, that is a team that is on a pretty wild run themselves to get by Alabama and then to get by Creighton. 2 teams a lot of people liked. A lot of people were picking either Bama or Creighton in that side of the bracket. It felt like they were able to get through them. That SDSU and FAU, all the letters match up on one side is pretty wild, and then you got names on the other side, UConn and Miami.
Yeah. I mean, old school Big East with UConn and Miami, and then San Diego State just being able to play 9 deep and being so physical. Like, there's no let up. When they bring guys in off the bench, there is no let up, and they're always fresh because no guy really plays over 30 minutes. Like, it's rare if you find that team playing over 30 minutes for each one of those guys. So they play just a different brand of physicality, and you're just seeing with the COVID year and the transfer portal, these grown-ass men around 24 years old, born in 1999 and stuff like that, that's what's winning. Like FD or FAU, those guys, there's a lot of super seniors on that team, a ton. And they're very guard driven. And I like big man down low, Golden. He does a good job. And he went to work against Kansas State, which doesn't have much of a big man, so I like it. I don't need the chalk. I just want to see good basketball, and that's what we're getting.
Yeah, right now, if I heard it right today by those that are looking at it, all 4 of these teams, no McDonald's All-Americans
0
anywhere and no one-and-dones, at least according to the way they're looking at it now.
Yeah.
No guys that are obvious one-and-dones.
Yeah, parents, if you have kids and they want to learn how to shoot the basketball, go watch Jordan Hawkins for UConn. Oh my goodness.
That is a pretty shot.
That's one of the prettiest, sweetest jumpers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, like Allen Houston, Tennessee Vols, sweet. Ray Allen, same alma mater, UConn, sweet. That is some pure stuff. And the way he was shooting that thing, NBA fans, NBA scouts, they licking their chops like they just got done eating lemon pepper wings with Lou Williams at Magic City. Like, it's that jumper, wow. And NBA, whoever picks him up, he's going to be one of those guys. He ain't going to be a superstar in the league, but he's going to be one of those guys that you could start at your shooting guard spot. And if you have a good guard or good big man that you have to help off of and you swing it to that dude, he going to knock it down. So, yeah, if you have a kid, go watch that jumper. That's how you shoot it the right way.
And speaking of wow, can anybody get close to UConn? First step, just make it a game. Their scores are 87-63, 70-55, 88-65, and 82-54. Zay, they made Gonzaga look like they shouldn't have been in the field by the end of that game.
Andre Jackson is like Timmy Allen with a 40-inch vertical.
Oof. Yeah.
That's what he is. He almost had a triple-double in that game or against Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Flirted with a triple-double. He's like Timmy Allen, does a little bit of everything good, but he's so athletic, it takes him a little step above. Love Timmy Allen. Love what he brought to the Horns. I'm definitely going to miss him. But we saw, especially this last 10 minutes, Timmy Allen could be limited and, if you can figure him out. Andre Jackson, he could be limited too, but he has that bounce and that quick step and just a different type of athleticism where he could play on the next level. And with Sanogo, man, Hurley's team, they look like the favorites right now to win the national championship.
They really do. I'm not sure who's going to stop them. We'll see if Miami's got anything for them. Up next, where are we at in society with Zay? Then in the 2 o'clock hour, we'll get back into the Lamar Jackson story. LeBron James made his return. And yes, we're talking Longhorn basketball. Miami takes him out. Looks like Rodney Terry's going to get the job. And we are getting your thoughts on it today. Specs text line 337-3776. Longhorn fans, we are your therapy today. It's the Horn. All right, rolling through a Monday show. Therapy Monday for Longhorn basketball fans trying to figure out what happened yesterday. 88-81. Miami gets the win. Back to that in a little while. All right. I feel like I should know this one. Oh, wait, is this the Who?
No.
No.
Who was in the Who, though?
Roger Daltrey was the lead singer, but I don't think he's going to have a solo project.
Okay.
All right, yeah, so I'm a little off on this one. Who is it?
Delaney and Bonnie and Friends.
The heck? No.
Coming home.
Delaney and Bonnie and Friends?
Yes.
That is a lot going on. Okay.
I mean, it says in Friends, but when I typed it in, it's just Delaney and Bonnie.
For you Who fans out there, doesn't this kind of sound like The Seeker? Is that just me? I thought that's what it was. All right, so Delaney and Bonnie and Friends, Stray Cats, Tony Basil, and Sleaze Bees all on the board today. Obviously, a lot of basketball talk. We have a Final Four set. Everything will be on Saturday. Unfortunately for Longhorn fans, unfortunately for Cougar fans, there will be a Final Four in Houston, and neither of those teams gets to be involved because both those teams got beat by Miami. Somebody texted earlier, Zay, that Miami team to score that many, and they end up scoring, 89 against Houston and then 88 against the Longhorns. They're giving them credit for being a pretty damn good offensive team. When you can go against those two defenses and come out with right at 90, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, U of H, they've been an excellent team all year defensively up there in Ken Palm in both offense and defensive efficiency. And they picked them apart completely, which I mentioned earlier, terrified the Texas coaching staff. And I think they overplayed at times. They overplayed because they wanted to take away the three. When you see Nigel Pack hit 7 of them things and the ball's in his hands, which Nigel Pack, he's a good player. Talk about shiftiness. He has a weird body. Just like he's only 6 foot, 5'11" at best, but he's a lot quicker than you think. He's a lot more athletic, and he was doing some shifty stuff yesterday, made some real crafty buckets. Isaiah Wong, too, and then, of course, Jordan Miller being just straight up perfect. That's tough. That's tough. And they spread you out. They go 5 out, and Texas, they were small, too. They didn't have the ability to dominate them inside like they would have if Dylan Dessou were there, and we're just always going to be thinking about what if from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, I get why the Longhorns took some threes in that second half. They had a good first half there, but I remember at halftime thinking 64% for Miami. If you don't get them out of the lane a little bit and you miss a few threes, you're going to let them back in. And you talked earlier about the pass off Timmy Allen to get the easy bucket. The reaction for Miami there was interesting to me because that went
so high.
It went from 13 to 11, but if you know basketball, you know that 9-11 range, that becomes really, really big. No matter what you'd done, you were at 11, and you knew one more stop and bucket, and you're in single digits, and the momentum just they felt like that was turning, and in the end, they were right.
Yeah, because it's already too hard to stop them, and you give them that.
Right.
And Poplar, when he dunked it with some intensity and yelled. You heard the yell. Looked at the bench while doing it too. And like you said, it gave them an extra juice to like, oh yeah, we here.
We're not leaving.
We ain't leaving.
And the other thing I thought of right at that time, think about how long Texas had from when the Xavier game got out of whack to then. The Longhorns had a lot of time up.
Yeah.
Up by a lot, comfortably up, and smiling and having a good time and all that. And it's almost like they kind of got in their own heads and were trying to and something occurred there. That play stood out to me. And then didn't somebody get caught with the you can't run the baseline?
Yeah, Tyrese Hunter did.
Oh, that was
brutal.
Those kind of little things have got to drive coaches insane where you're like, that's so basic, and you miss it and you just hand them a possession.
It's so much more easier to make comebacks when the clock is stopped and you're going to the free throw line, getting your points. Because if you hit a three, the ball rolls and you could walk to the ball. If the refs, that's why, it's interesting for a team that makes a shot. You want to make it. And if you want to get that ball out quick and start a 5-second, throw the ball to the ref fast. But sometimes guys don't do that. Sometimes the shot will go in and then they'll go find their man and then guys will take their time to go get the ball. Because once you get it, that's when the 5 seconds starts.
Right.
So you can waste like 12. I've seen John Morant do it. Princeton, with their smart asses, they were doing it in the first 2 rounds.
Yep.
Missouri would score, and then the ball would roll. Princeton guys would walk and get it, and the clock would tick and tick. You can't do that when they're knocking down free throws and the clock stopped.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to come back, and that's what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, let's get you where we at in society, see what Zay wants to talk about today. I'm guessing it's not Longhorn basketball. Here we go.
Where are we at in society today?
Because he knows he has to talk about that in other places. What do you want to get to, Zay?
De'Aaron Fox, one of my favorite point guards in the league. I think he's one of the most underrated point guards in the NBA from Houston, Texas. Went to Cy-Fair, which good job, Shaka Smart letting him get out. But when John Calipari comes knocking on the door, what do? You know, what can you do? It's Kentucky, John Calipari. And we're talking about 2015, like 2016. Kentucky's really booming right now.
Sure.
So I can't knock Shaka too much, but still, Shaka, this is the age. Go to Houston. It's a quick drive. Go there. Recruit the kid when he's 6 years old. Early.
When he's 6?
I'm just saying, there's certain talents that you just know early on he's going to be good. Maybe he wasn't.
You're meeting him at the kindergarten field day?
Sixth grade. Let's say sixth grade.
Sixth grade.
Sixth grade, not sixth grade.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So De'Aaron Fox, he went viral recently. And for his statements on college basketball, take a listen, Chad and Body.
All right.
Watch March Madness at all?
I kind of flip through college games. I can't watch a full college game.
Really?
No, I can't.
Is it that bad?
It's hard. Okay. It's hard. Just the shot making is not at, obviously, the pro level. The refs are bad. A lot of coaching is really bad. I can't stand it.
Big fan.
Yeah, not a fan of the college game. So he's gone viral. They're like, oh, you went to Kentucky. You should appreciate college basketball more than anybody. And which I don't buy that. But also, again, this just starts a debate of what he means. Because this is March Madness. This is when, like, he looks crazy saying this during March Madness. Because this is some of the funnest time in sports.
And this year, I would argue, and I've been one to get on this sport the last few years for certain things. There's been some good high-quality ball in this tournament.
Yeah.
There's been some high-quality stuff going on. I mean, overall, I at times I get what he's talking about, but, you know.
Yeah, now let's break down what he means, because I do understand what he means. Yeah. The spacing in college basketball doesn't allow guys to thrive. You got to really be a master of your craft, which it's tough. Like, that's why coaching's so big in college basketball, because it's so hard to score. You know, it's just so tough. Like I heard Mick Cronin the other day talking about how much harder it is to coach college basketball than it is in the association. And in the pros, when he means the shot making, yeah, it's a lot easier. There's no 3 seconds. You can't touch nobody, handshakes and all that. Like, it's kind of like pro football. It makes offense a lot easier because people want to see points. And going back to the refs, yeah, the refs could be bad in college basketball. We saw last night, the refs were bad. Did Texas lose that game on their own? Yes, but the refs were bad. You have to admit that. Then the coaching, this is what I don't get. Because there is better coaching than others, but to flat out say the coaching is really bad, like, that doesn't make any sense, because these coaches are coaching their ass off, especially the ones that are left. Like, they're coaching their ass off.
I think coaching is critical in college.
Oh, it's huge.
Because you're re-racking the roster every year, and now transfers are important, and it's about how you put it together in one instance. I think it's even more important. Now, I'm not saying there's not bad coaches out there, but I would not put a blanket over it and say everybody's bad.
Yeah. So that was interesting that he said that, but hey, I don't know.
I also wonder what those Kentucky guys, as much as they're supposed to be college basketball freaks because they're one of the blue blood programs, those guys are there for a blink, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Those guys are there for a cough, and they're gone.
They never really experience the full college experience. They're there for 6 months, if that.
What do you want them to love about college basketball? They're in it for just a little bit of time. They're not staying long term. They're not on a team that gets built and developed and, throughout the year so that fans can follow them year after year after year and they get better along the lines. That's just not what it is.
When De'Aaron Fox lost, just like the Horns did in the Elite Eight game, because that's what they did, him, Malik Monk, and Bam Adebayo, they lost in the Elite Eight, and he cried in the locker room and all that stuff. You think he went to class that next week? He entered the draft.
Of course he went to class. Zay, what are you talking about?
He entered the draft.
It's the University of Kentucky. How dare you even insinuate that he wouldn't go to class?
University of Kentucky, where their head coach somehow finessed Derrick Rose and somebody took his SAT for him.
I have no idea what you're talking about there.
Uh-huh.
No idea.
Squeaky Clean John that people were vouching for to come around here. All right. That would have worked out.
There's squeakiness going on, but it is not about cleanliness. All right, there is some Where We At in Society. We do it every day at 1:45. Up next, Lamar wants a trade. LeBron comes back, and we're still trying to figure out how the Longhorns blew a 13-point lead from that point and a 10-point lead from that point. Miami moves on. Longhorns left with questions and probably a new head coach. We'll get you the latest on the Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, let's go hour number 3 on a Monday. Longhorns fall in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, we've talked a lot about that. Lamar Jackson requests a trade. We'll get back into that story coming up here.
Stop calling us on the Specs text line.
Sorry, I'll get the hang-up button on that one, Zay. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier, and he picks out a beat for all of us to start the third hour. What do you got, Zay?
Like a pimp. David Banner, Lil Flip, classic.
David Banner.
David Banner.
I've heard the name David Banner in the rap world. Is this a rapper, a producer, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Both. He's from Mississippi, super country, and he had a little run. This was his first single. Lil Flip was hot at the time. Great track.
What's the name of it again?
Like a pimp.
Like a pimp.
Like a pimp.
Like a pimp.
I'm trying to say it like how David Banner would appreciate me saying it.
Okay. So if I just tried to give him the normal like a pimp, that would not work.
Nah.
We got a pimp.
Yeah, you got a Mississippi
Got a Mississippi
yeah.
that. Okay, excellent. Well, as a Marvel freak, I do appreciate the name David Banner. I always like that. Felt like an Incredible Hulk reference there. So shout out to David Banner. Great beat to start this hour. Lots of stuff going on today in the basketball world. Of course, the Final Four is set. It's in Houston. No Texas teams end up making it. It's FAU and San Diego State in the higher-ranked matchup at 5 o'clock on Saturday, and then about 8 o'clock it is Miami and UConn. UConn feels like your favorite right now, but who knows? This has been a wild, wild tournament. We'll continue to talk about that. Let's get you the update on Rodney Terry. Shout out to horns247.com. That's where I saw it. First tweeted about the Texas was going to ultimately make the offer. Pete Thamel now on the national level and others have put out stories saying the two sides are meeting today with hopes of finalizing a deal and that Rodney Terry has emerged as the focus of the coaching search. So, Zay, years ago, one of the if people want to go back to, I guess this would have been the time when Texas hired Charlie Strong. There was a story about they took a look at Art Briles at the time. Again, and this is before all the Art Briles stuff would have gone down. And then the thing of that apparently was that Art Briles was insulted that anyone else was in the discussion. He wanted to be told, you're it. You're everything. If you want this job, we want you. When he didn't get that, that upset him, and he went back to Waco. In this particular case, I think that's what Rodney Terry needs. He needs to get that respect from Texas right now. Not that they don't have a list they'd go to, but right now with what we just saw this team do and what we saw him do with this team, I think they need to make sure it's that. Coach Terry, we want you. You are our guy. Do you want to be our coach? Let's work on a deal. There needs to be no other mention of not a coaching search, not that he is the guy. So I'm kind of glad to see it phrased this way, that he's the focus of the search right now, that he is the whole search.
Yeah, and Coach Terry, he might be from the Houston area, but he's an Austinite. He is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he kept his house here when he went to Fresno and UTEP, when previously when he was with Coach Barnes, loved it, wanted to stay, but clearly he wanted to have his own head coaching aspirations, went to St. Ed's. And then when he came back, he was talking about retiring here as an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So if that doesn't speak of a Longhorn, I don't know what does. And now he's given his dream job to be the head coach of the University of Texas. And you're right, he should want to feel wanted. He should have that feeling. And CDC and the front office down there in the 40 acres, they should know he's earned that and then some of what he did with this team. The respect they have for him when he was talking about going to their weddings and stuff and being there for their firstborns and stuff. That's love. Joe Cook said it best, like, that ain't fake. Right. None of that's fake. All that locker room stuff, there might be cameras in there and stuff, but when you hear him hiccuping because he's choking up and, you always got the raspy voice. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
It's a tough cry, but that's the passion and love he has for this university and his players. When you saw Sir'Jabari Rice talking about he's a mirror of me, I wouldn't want to play for anybody else. Dylan Disu, all these guys. They love him, and he's going to fight for this university.
He is, and you notice that one, I can't remember who was sitting to his right, but the hand immediately came over to his shoulder from
Marcus Carr.
It was Marcus.
It was
okay.
Marcus Carr.
From a player. Like, that's so cool to me. One of my favorite things about college basketball now, it's always been the case, but now when you don't have guys staying as long and you don't have teams developing the same way, one thing I try to cling to is the love of coaches and the coaches' love for players. And it is fun to watch. It's fun to watch Hurley and his players talk about each other. It's fun to watch all these guys, whoever it is. But in the case of Texas, you can feel that emotion coming out of it. And that's how I would communicate it to Rodney Terry. If I'm CDC, I would walk in and I would say, all these stories you hear about me having a list are true. And the list matters if you say no. There's no list anywhere. You are my list right now. Yes, I have to have a list in case you say no. But I don't want you to say no. You're my guy. That's what I would make sure to communicate to him. You were dealt a wacky hand way back, and we had to put you in this situation. And then along the way, you had this crazy, the injury to Dessou that affects the team. And then, I mean, Marcus Carr gets banged up in this last game.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. When him and Omier collided, that was a huge point in the game where another thing shifted for Miami in their favor.
There was a talk about, was Jabari Rice hurt by the end of the game?
Right.
Somebody thought they saw a brace on him. So he had to deal with a lot of stuff. To come through it the way he did, with the class that he did, I'm hoping Texas gives him that love and he gets his extension. Rodney Terry, 55 years old, and many would think he has done enough to get the job. Unfortunately, the Longhorns did not get to the Final Four, but Rodney Terry expected to get that job, so it could become official pretty quickly. Could be in the next couple of days.
And, obviously Coach Terry sticks out because he's the head coach, but the coaching staff is huge too. If he could keep those guys around, Ogden, Donalwall, McClain, Chappelle, if he could keep those guys around, that's huge because they all really love each other. You saw the way that they celebrate after the game with one another and the rest of the team. It's special. And I know people want to look at the UTEP record, and I know people want to look at the Fresno State record. Okay, fine. But you still got to have the Jimmy and Joes to go with the X's and O's. It's hard to win at mid-majors.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, it's hard to win everywhere.
It's hard to win everywhere.
But yeah.
And it wasn't like he was getting fired from those places. Like, he was doing things right. He was coming in with the right attitude, and he was trying to turn those programs around. And now that he's going to get the Jimmys and the Joes, when you have Sir Jabari Rice and Timmy Allen and Marcus Carr, like, those guys are going to recruit for him. When people call, because they've been at different places, and people call them, and when you play against different players, you get a certain respect. When people around Big East or Big Ten, whatever, when they look at Texas and see what they're doing and say, you know what, Austin, Texas is a really nice area.
Yeah.
You know what, they got brand new facilities down there, beautiful facilities. Why not call these guys up and say, hey, is Coach Terry was cool? What was it like playing for him?
Right.
They're not going to bash him.
No.
They're going to praise him.
Yeah.
And then some.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of positivity around that part of it right now. That ultimately, like I said earlier, I think that's the big victory for this team. It obviously ends up short of where they wanted it to be. That's the victory. I think they found their coach. I think they absolutely found their coach. He proved himself, and hopefully that will become official this week. Also this week, Lamar Jackson hopes he finds a new team. He has requested a trade. He says he did it back on March 2nd, and that the team did not really understand his value, basically. The interesting part to me, Zay, is we still haven't heard about any real discussions with teams. I haven't heard about him talking to a team. Is there another team that wants to give him the value he's looking for? I haven't heard about that yet. So right now, I saw today a Vegas betting thing. I got a deal from, I think it was betonline.ag or whatever, about different odds, and they got the over-unders out for teams. Baltimore was like at 9.5. And I thought, well, if this rolls through, you might want to adjust that. You may want to adjust that down a little bit, because I wouldn't put their over-under at 9.5 if they're having to figure out what's next at quarterback. But he has requested a trade, and there's got to be 2 first-round picks going the other way. But also, Zay, deep down, if I'm a team, 2 first-round picks might be a good deal.
Yeah.
To give up for Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, you would think. But the risk, man. Like, I'm just thinking of the risk. What the good is great. Like, he stays healthy. He throws for over 3,000 yards, almost rushes for over 1,000, 40 touchdowns.
This just shows you're getting older. 'Cause you're worried about the risk.
But
you're worried about what happens when he scrambles too
what
much.
happens when he scrambles and takes that one hit in week 12?
Yeah.
It's just like we saw it this past year. And when is he going to lose a step? Is the pocket passing? How is that developing? Because, again, there's just throws he cannot make. There's just throws he cannot make. And the money that he wants and that he's asking for the long haul doesn't make sense for the talent that he needs around him to be successful.
The thing I wonder, and this is where when you don't have an agent, this is why we don't find out. When you strip it all down, what does he want? Years-wise, money-wise? I don't know. He said no. We talked about what he said no to earlier, the $133 million guaranteed, and in certain circumstances, it could be up at $200. What does he want? Does he want all guaranteed money? Does he have a number in his head of guaranteed money? Remember, he's doing this. He is orchestrating all this. The teams are reaching out to him directly because he has no agent.
Yeah, and is he getting hosed for that? Absolutely.
I would think.
He's for sure getting hosed from that.
He's got to be missing some details. I'm not dogging Lamar out for that. It's just trying to do two jobs at one time. You're trying to be an elite level, MVP quality NFL quarterback and an elite and an agent repping that person at the same time.
Yeah.
That's tough to do.
Yeah, there's one thing being an agent and having the agent bias. And then there's a difference between the agent bias, which is professional, and your family bias, which ain't at all.
Right.
They just want what's best for you. Then they go to school, then take no classes, just want what's best for you because you they baby.
Yeah, the only other person, literally, because the only other person supposedly in these discussions might be his mother. Not like a cousin that is an agent. Not a friend of his that became an agent, that went to school and studied to be, not that. His mom is that person.
Mama! What, boy? Hey, Tampa Bay calling. Tampa Bay calling, they want to talk to you. Like, what? How's that sound?
Hang on, let me let you talk to mom. What? What are we I don't understand. And I've heard a lot of good arguments about it. And the best one I've heard is from our guys in the afternoon, Rod Babers and Mike Harge. They've both been at the pro level. They've both been on the player side of the negotiations, and they would both tell you that if they had been involved, would have gotten too personal.
Yeah.
Mike Harge has talked about the arbitration part of baseball, where they sit you down and just pick you apart to figure out arbitration, right? To figure out all that money. But you have to be able to separate the business and the business and the personal side. It's got to be really, really tough to do. Every little thing that the Ravens would nitpick about Lamar Jackson, the stuff you're talking about, if John Harbaugh went in and said he was concerned about stuff, Lamar's the one he's saying it to. So we all should have known when the GM had that weird quote about, dealing with Lamar, the football player, is a little different than dealing with Lamar, the GM. I mean, with Lamar, the agent. We all should have kind of known right then. This probably wasn't going to end with him wearing that helmet. And now it's official that he has asked for a trade. What will they do? Will they force him to stay? Because they got him tagged. They've got him tagged. They have till July 15th to work out a long-term deal. They could give him $250 guaranteed million if they wanted to, July 3rd. There's not a thing he could do about it other than, I guess he could say no. He'd not take their deal. But he's theirs right now through a certain time. And then is he willing to just sit it out? Is he willing to just...
Yeah, he's so scorned.
Wait.
Like, he's so petty and just... It seems like he's over it. It seems like he's over the Baltimore Ravens. It's like, just get me out of here.
Is he ready to go
any way you can?
Yeah, is he ready to go Le'Veon Bell on this thing? Just wait it out and then figure out something down the line. We'll see what happens. Are other teams talking to him? There are teams. You can make arguments about, are there teams that want this quarterback, that quarterback? Does anybody want to draft? Have you watched this whole league in a while? Somebody needs Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
We're all in agreement there, right?
Absolutely.
By the way, how excited are Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland fans today? Oh, my God. Wait, what? Lamar, I will help him pack. I will drive to Baltimore right now.
Oh, to be honest, if Cleveland was thinking, if we give Deshaun Watson all this money, maybe Lamar Jackson will lose it and he'll leave. And we don't have to worry about him.
It's a brilliant move. First one the Browns have ever made, maybe.
And might be.
Did they really drive him out with all that money? Weird.
It took a lot, but still, if you count both, technically, it's money well spent.
Man, that is, I hadn't thought of that, but I think you're right. All right, so a lot of stuff out there in the NFL. Lamar Jackson requesting a trade. Still nothing official on Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. We're about 2 weeks past when he mentioned the Jets on the McAfee show. Robert Saleh at the owners' meetings basically said that he feels comfortable things are going to be all right. Now, he didn't specifically say Rodgers' name because he can't. That would be tampering if he does. Even though it's free agency, they still have to work it out as technically – actually, I'm sorry, it's technically not free agency, right? There has to be a trade here with Rodgers. Isn't that right? There still has to be. Green Bay's got to get something, and apparently they want that first-round pick. The Jets don't want to give it up. So we're keeping our eyes on that story. Also, coming up for Why Today Matters, I want to get Zay's thoughts on LeBron coming back. I didn't realize LeBron was going to come back this fast. Have you heard why LeBron came back so fast? We will tell you about that. And will the Lakers fight their way in to the playoffs as we get ready to head that way in the NBA? A lot of stuff on the board today. If you want to jump in, 337-3776 is the Specs text line. Longhorn fans, we are your therapy today as you get over Miami 88, Texas 81. Longhorns will not be headed to Houston, and the Final Four. Four teams that a lot of people didn't expect are headed to Houston. It's kind of the way it goes these days in the NCAA tournament. Wild one. We'll talk more about that coming up on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
All right, rolling through a Monday. Sounds like PE.
That's right.
Yeah, a little Public Enemy for the kids. Sounds like somebody just tracked almost like a tea kettle. When a tea kettle starts to go, and you just lengthen that out. Love Public Enemy. The contrast between those two guys is so great.
Yo.
Have we ever had? Give me something else in rap that could compare to that. Is there another duo that when they go back and forth, it's that much of a contrast between Chuck D and Flavor Flav?
I would say style-wise, Andre 3000 and Big Boy, Outkast, just they're so different.
Yep.
But they rap so well and it flowed so well. But Flav didn't rap, but it just fit. Like right there, him just talking ish.
Just throwing a couple words.
Yeah, just throwing a couple words. Like, Chuck, talk your stuff. And then Chuck just ripping it.
It was always like, I always thought there were times where it sounded like Flavor Flav didn't know there was an album being recorded.
Yeah.
Like he was just, they don't know about it. We got to let them know. We're doing the album right now, man.
Right.
This is it. Right here. He was so great. I love it. All right, Public Enemy. To go with, let me see if I get this right, Delaney and Bonnie and Friends. I didn't even know that was a thing. Stray Cats, Tony Basil, Sleaze Bees. I knew those were all things. They've all been a part of the show. We had a great David Banner beat to start the hour. Lots of talk, obviously, about Longhorn basketball today, falling to Miami. And the reports are that the university and Rodney Terry are talking today, and that he is the focus of the search right now. A one-man search, if you will, and you could understand that after what that team just did. But they couldn't hold the 13-point lead, and we've talked about how all of the things that fell apart for Texas, some of the silly turnovers, some of the mistakes, and yes, at least one call, if not a couple calls, that did not go Texas's way. A lot of focus on the one that involved Brock Cunningham. But, Zay, I'm glad you brought up that one, the Dillon Mitchell play. That block, that one was crazy.
Yeah, that was bad. Tyrese Hunter had a nice block in the first half that got called for a foul. That was bogus.
Yeah,
but,
you're right. I didn't like that one either.
You know, that possession, man, where Joseph was on the free throw line, he missed that free throw, and you got to secure the rebound. And Dillon Mitchell tips it back to Jordan Miller, who gets to the line and knocks down a couple more. And now it's a 9-point game with 10 minutes to go. And it was a bad collapse. It was.
Yeah.
Definitely Dylan Dessou would have helped. But, man, you got to give the coaching staff for Miami a lot of love for realizing that those guards for Texas, if they're going to play that tight, then we're going to go at them. We're going to go at Marcus Carr. We're going to go at Timmy Allen, guys who they're good defenders, but if you're going downhill 100 miles per hour, it's tough to stop anybody. Even Gary Payton has a hard time chasing guys down 100 miles per hour. Go look up White Chocolate crossover on Gary Payton in like the 90s. It's one of the nastiest crossovers of all time, and all Gary Payton could do was stick his foot out. Why? Jay Will was coming full speed at him. With that type of craftiness and type of ball handling ability, it don't matter. You could get got, and they went at Texas. And Marcus Carr, my God, I'm going to miss him. He had a hell of a season, but that turnover on Omier, okay, you turn it over, but don't foul. There's 40 seconds left. There's a 30-second shot clock. Get a stop. If I'm Coach Terry, if I'm the coaching staff, no fouls. You're yelling, no fouls. Play clean. Play clean. You get the ball back with about 10 seconds, 8 seconds to go to give yourself a chance to tie the game and see what happens. But Marcus Carr, for some reason, all the years of college basketball and games you've played, you don't need to foul there. And he fouls Isaiah Wong, who knocks down 2 more free throws. That's ball game. They go up 4, about 10 seconds left. That's ball game. So a lot of dumb things happen. It was not just the referees. Was that Coach Terry's best game coaching? No, but that timeout that he called against Penn State, you had Jeff Ketchum come on our airways on our show, Chad, say that might be the greatest timeout in Texas basketball history.
Yeah, it was a nice timeout. Yeah.
All the timeouts that Ketch has seen. I said it was just best timeout of the year. History,
Yeah.
There's been a lot of timeouts
Yeah.
called
Yeah.
with Texas coaches. Tom Pender, Shaka, Rick Barnes. A lot of timeouts been called.
Yeah, that might be a little bit of a stretch, but
I feel him.
he gave the love.
Yeah, but
it
so
was a big
people
moment.
hating on Coach Terry and stuff, nah, back that. I don't agree with that whatsoever.
All right, speaking of basketball, let's go to the association and why today matters. It is March 27th. Here we go.
Why Today Matters, brought to you by Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Get sinus and snoring relief with Dr. Daniel Slaughter at Sinus and Snoring Specialists, 512-601-0303 or sinussnoringent.com.
We do have a lot of interesting birthdays today, but before that, Zay, LeBron back on the floor for the Lakers way before a lot of people thought he would. He missed 13 games, I think, if I'm reading correctly, and came back last night. Now, they didn't get the win last night. Is that right?
No.
They did not get that win. They are sitting in the 9 spot, I believe, in the playoffs. So what do we make of LeBron coming back here and saying basically he's back because he's superhuman? Is that why?
Yeah, it makes you think about, oh boy, that said him and LeBron got the same drug dude.
Oh, back to Chael Sonnen?
Chael Sonnen. You might have something there, Chael. Very suspicious. Very sketchy.
You know,
LeBron talking about, the doctors told me that I'm the fastest healer they've ever seen with this injury.
And then he references a doctor that he says is the LeBron of feet, but won't say their name.
Yeah, I feel like that guy would want to get the cred.
That's weird. Two other doctors told him he needed surgery. Then the LeBron of feet told him he didn't, but then you won't tell us who that person is.
Yeah, it's weird, whatever, but they were playing well without LeBron. Austin Reeves was playing good basketball. Now LeBron's coming back, and he's a ball stopper. As good and great as he is, all-time leading scorer, he's still going to have to figure out how to play with this new team. He hasn't had many games with him. Like D'Angelo Russell hasn't played many games with him, Vanderbilt, all those guys.
Since they made those moves.
Since they made those moves. So he's still trying to figure things out. And they were in the midst of that, and then he got hurt. So this is a whole new team that Darvin Ham is throwing out there for the Lakers. And LeBron did not look that good yesterday, where Pat Bev, who got traded to the Bulls, he let them know. Talk about petty. He had that whack-ass jump hook over LeBron and Casper because no one else was around. LeBron barely was even around, but he was the closest one. And what did petty-ass Patrick Beverly do? The "you're too small"
He
sign.
did not give LeBron the "you're too small."
He gave the LeBron James himself, "you're too small, big man."
How tall is Pat Beverly?
6'1", maybe.
Okay,
at best.
There's your new rule. You're not allowed to use the "you're too short" if you are physically that much shorter than the other person. Come on, what are we doing?
It's weak, but still.
What are we doing?
It's Pat Bev. Would you expect anything less?
No, not really.
Exactly.
I'm not shocked.
Pat Bev said, "I want to ruin the Lakers' chances of making the playoffs." And he helped. He helped do that. I mean, it was a loud-ass 10 points that he had.
Yeah. And they're
very loud.
They're still clinging. They're clinging to that 9 spot right now. Right now, the Mavs are at 9. The Mavs are just out of it at 11. And the play-in teams would be Minnesota, New Orleans, the Lakers, and the Thunder if it stopped today. We are just about to the end. What am I seeing?
About like 10 games left.
Yeah, about 7, depending on who the team is. 7 games to go, depending on which team you're looking at, something like that.
Let me ask you this, Mavericks fan. Do we like Luka's tone and attitude right now?
No, he sounds depressed.
He looks depressed.
He sounds sad and depressed, and Kyrie Irving is throwing people out of games and just sounding very Kyrie Irving, and it's bizarre to me that these are the two, leaders of the team, the two best players on the team, and they both just sound so odd when they talk. Like, I can't imagine getting motivated by either one of them in terms of the vocal part. Their games can motivate. We know that. But, yeah, I don't like that from Luka. It just feels like he's really down right now.
There's so much entitlement from the whole organization, from their owner, Mark Cuban, which is a good owner. He's been a good owner, but the whole thing about the Golden State rule where they weren't aware that it was Golden State's ball and bitching about that.
Yeah.
That's entitlement. Jason Kidd, who doesn't take enough responsibility, just kind of blames the team when things go wrong and stuff like, I made the Hall of Fame. I was nice with it. These guys, they got to figure it out. You see me, I'm trying. I'm doing my best. And like you said, just Kyrie and Luka, what they're bringing to the table. Like Luka, he's never experienced losing. Like back in Europe when he was playing with, Madrid and them in Spain and winning, FIBA World Cups with Slovenia, his home country. He wasn't used to this losing stuff and being the man with it and having to deal with having a life in America. I don't think he likes America very much, especially with this losing stuff. It's not much fun. Usually he could be back in Slovenia doing whatever the hell he grew up doing. But now life's totally different for him. Yeah. And I don't think, everybody just thinks you could be Tony Parker and Manu and just have a nice transition. Not everybody's like that.
Dude, what if they got Kyrie Irving and they can't even get in a play-in situation?
It's tough.
They couldn't even crawl into the 10 spot.
It just shows you how good the NBA is nowadays.
Oh my goodness. I guess that's what it shows you.
I mean, look at Sacramento. Nobody expected them to be good.
I would love to think that's what it shows me. Yeah, Sacramento is the 3 seed I did not expect.
Yeah, like De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, like those guys are hooping. Malik Monk, Rookie Murray, those guys are hooping. Mike Brown's doing a great job. He should be coach of the year this season.
Who's that?
Mike Brown.
Yeah, you may be right. Yeah, he's got to be in that right there in that discussion. I can't think of who else off the top of my head would be there, but he's got to be right there. The Kings are sitting in that 3 spot. Denver and Memphis have both taken care of divisions. They are in the playoffs and ready to roll. So keep your eyes on the Lakers. LeBron is back. If you're a Mavs fan like me, they're trying to fight. They may have to take a team like the Lakers or Thunder out to get in to the playoff, the play-in situation. All right, that is why today matters to us on this March 27th. By the way, I thought was there a Longhorn with a birthday? No, Randall Cunningham is a nice birthday today at 60. Happy birthday to Randall. Fergie is 48 today. Mariah Carey, 54. Got to mention some of the greats. Diana Ross yesterday, 79 years old. And for you fight fans, Paige Van Zandt, 29 years old yesterday. Still in the fight game, kind of. I think she's still trying to hang out in the fight game. One of my favorite fighters in the last few years. All right, there's why today matters. Coming up, stems and seeds, including the NFL updates from today. Lamar wanting a trade and what is going on with the Aaron Rodgers story. We'll hit those and then get you off to Ball Don't Lie. Stay with us. It's The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
About to bounce back? Is this for Longhorn fans? Is this for Houston fans? Try to bounce back?
No, we don't care about the Houston fans.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of Kansas State fans, Alabama fans. Thought they had it. Didn't quite get it done. Who we finishing off with here today, Zay?
Juvenile.
Juvenile. Okay.
We played Juvenile a few times.
Yeah,
on
you
this.
have.
Yeah. He has hits. How do we not?
Any good albums?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 400 Degrees.
Okay.
That's the main one. We might have to do an album review for that one.
Did he make the top 50 all-time list?
No.
No, not quite that good?
Nah, not quite that good. He had a good run, but didn't make the list.
If you were going to make a list, would he be in your top 50?
No.
100?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
Maybe. Actually, maybe.
Maybe 100?
Maybe 100.
Maybe in the 100?
Yo, Back That Ass Up. That song is such a classic. He might be like 95, 96 just for that.
Oh, that's Juvenile. Okay. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
All right. It's Juvenile in more ways than one.
Right. Girl, you look good when you woman. Man, come on.
All right. So Juvenile, Public Enemy, Delaney and Bonnie and Friends, Stray Cats, Tony Basil, Sleazebees. They were all a part of the show today. Nice David Banner beat to start the hour as well. Chad and Zay on this Monday working through it with Longhorn basketball fans. Obviously not the weekend they wanted. Half of the weekend they wanted. Impressive win against Xavier. That's one of the things that sucks about the tournament, man. When your team gets the first half of the front side win but can't get the backside win, it's almost like the first one didn't happen. You want to be happy about it. You want to be excited about it. But ultimately, if you don't finish off and then get out of that weekend, then it's kind of done.
This season was so much fun, Chad. This season was so much fun. Like, it's been 15 years since this team went to the Elite Eight, and we saw with a lot of these other teams that had expectations in March Madness, it's so hard to win 6 games. You have to have so many things go your way. Once Dylan DeSue got hurt, you just kind of knew when was it coming. Because it seemed like all these teams in the tournament, from Tennessee's Kai Ziegler, UCLA with Clark, Houston with Sasser, etc., injuries were derailing what they wanted to accomplish, and that was win a national championship. And once that injury bug hit the horn, especially with somebody playing as well as Dylan DeSue, you just knew. And gonna miss Timmy Allen and Sir'Jabari Rice. Like I told y'all right before the season started, right after they played Arkansas in the exhibition game, Sir'Jabari Rice is gonna be everybody's favorite player. And he was.
Did. Yep. You're absolutely right.
And we're going to miss him probably more than anybody, especially, with what he did in that 1 year. Just 1 year he was here.
You sure he didn't get to come back for a year or two if he
wants?
It's over?
Unfortunately, that's it.
Oh, man.
That's it. So I've got to appreciate what we had. Like, everything that happened for them to get as far as they did. Again, Marcus Carr and Timmy Allen, all those guys, Sir'Jabari Rice, ones that won't be Christian Bishop, how good he was in that game against Xavier. Wish he would have got a little bit more PT yesterday, but what can you do? But fun year, loved it.
All right, Zay, before we get out of here, let me see if I can make you smile and maybe some other Longhorn fans smile before the show is over, especially if you're a Cowboys fan. Here we go.
No stress, no C's, no stems, no sticks.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. Will he speak it into existence? Ed Holm of the NFL Network, or NFL.com, has put out a mock draft where the Cowboys trade up to get Bijan Robinson at 19.
Okay, Jones boys.
You know who that would mean they would have to trade with?
Who?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
At 19. How about that? Who knows? It's just a mock draft, but thought if you're a Longhorn fan, you might need that smile today. Also, the fact, if you missed it, if you're into Rodney Terry and the idea of him getting the job, they are meeting today, apparently, the university and Rodney Terry. So we wish Coach Terry all the best in those negotiations or getting the offer, whatever they need to do. Maybe in the next day or so, that becomes official. It's also official today that Lamar Jackson wants a trade from the Ravens. And we talked a little bit about this earlier. Robert Saleh of the Jets, while not saying Aaron Rodgers' name, is telling the media that he remains confident that Rodgers will be the quarterback in 2023. He also made reference to OBJ because he's a free agent and he doesn't belong to anybody. He has talked about them still trying to look into possibly getting Odell Beckham Jr. Remember, that's one of the guys Aaron Rodgers wanted. Also, Zay, he's made it official that Zach Wilson, despite all the mess he's been through, is their backup quarterback.
Okay.
He's QB2.
He's a great backup.
I think that is maybe right, especially right now.
Right now.
That's where he'll fit.
Yeah.
That'll
Did he
make
improve a lot? Yeah, but he's a great backup as of now.
He needs to become kind of like the guy before Jordan Love that was learning from Rodgers. What was that dude? Was it Hundley? Was it Brett Hundley that they brought in there? He looked exactly like Rodgers when he would throw the ball. I thought, well, that's not a bad way to go about it. If you just kind of pick up the mannerisms, he walked like Rodgers, and then when he'd throw the ball, you'd kind of even see a little bit of Rodgers. I thought that was a pretty good plan.
Yeah, Zach Wilson, we know he has all the intangibles, but he just has that little boy about him. Like, dog, can you be more of a grown man for the NFL, for a quarterback position? Like, I know you look like a Disney character boy.
Problem. He looks like a doll.
Yeah. We need you to be more grown man. Get some nuts, dude.
Wow. All right. There's the way we'll leave you today. Soccer Matters at 7 tonight. Ball Don't Lie is next. No Instant Serious tonight. It'll be back next week. We'll be back for a Tuesday show tomorrow. Wow. Be safe out there and do what Zay said. See ya.
Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Oh, man, we got a lot to get into. We're going to get it popping. Of course, we'll start off with the unfortunate, sad news that the season is over for the Texas men's basketball team. A loss to Miami keeps them from their Final Four hopes. We'll get into that. We'll also break it down from every angle. Rodney Terry expected to be offered or has already been offered the head coaching job officially. We'll get into that story also coming up as well, coming up here in the first segment of the show. Texas baseball, they continue their winning ways. They broke out the brooms on them Red Raiders. We'll talk about that. We got my man Hardball Hard here to help us break that down. We'll also talk about the Cowboys a little bit, Texans a little bit. They controlled the draft. Who would have thought, even though they did lose to Tankathon. Lamar Jackson has a message for the people. Yeah, we'll talk about that too coming up. That's the big news in the NFL. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but it's time to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream and the cheese. Pippin ain't easy, but for this man, ladies and gentlemen, it's a breeze. He is the Mike Hardball Harge. What's going on, brother?
Man, you know what